constant variety of sport.
The man is incredible.
The thrill of victory.
Absolutely the best.
And the agony of defeat.
Look at him go! Oh, baby.
This is ABC's Wide World of Sports.
The popularity of the Brickyard 400 NASCAR race has grown tremendously since the first running in 1994. Only 4 past winners, but many great moments. Side-by-side racing between hometown hero Jeff Gordon and Ernie Irvan eventually took its toll.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jeff Gordon, oh, he's going to go around him. He's taking the inside. They touch. He's got the lead.
Irvan's flat tire put Gordon in victory lane. Years from today, when 79 stock car races have been run here, we'll remember the name. Jeff Gordon, winner of the inaugural Brickyard 400. And all kinds of activity. Oh, and Rusty gets hung up. But back on track, Dale shot past Rusty and held on for the win.
We were the second guy to win the Brickyard, but it's really monumental, I think, in my career.
The battle between Jarrett and Irvan was decided with 7 laps to go. Jarrett goes to the inside in the second corner and comes out with the lead.
Winning in Indianapolis is the most incredible feeling I've ever had.
Under caution with 22 laps to go, the Tide car stayed on the track.
And Ricky Rudd chose not to pit. He will be our leader when we go back to Green.
And the gamble paid off.
I won, I think, 20 Winston Cup races, but unbelievable how big this was to my career.
Gordon earned his second Brickyard 400 by holding off Mark Martin, with the drama between the two cut short by a caution flag. 3 laps from the finish.
Winning the 2 Brickyard 400s I've won are the biggest moments in my career.
More memorable moments will come today. The 6th annual Brickyard 400 is coming up next. ABC Sports is live at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where 43 of the best stock car drivers in the world are ready for one of the most prestigious stops on the NASCAR Winston Cup Tour, the 6th annual Brickyard 400. The weatherman says maybe rain later this afternoon, but right now we have partly cloudy skies and a temperature in the low 80s. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. Welcome to the Brickyard 400. The rumors were rampant back in 1993. Would the Indianapolis Motor Speedway open its doors for a second race, not just the Indy 500? There were some that were skeptical, saying it should be only the Indy 500. But the NASCAR Winston Cup stock cars came here in 1994, and since then, this event has risen to a grand level among the stops on the NASCAR Winston Cup Tour. As a matter of fact, Dale Earnhardt says his win here was just as important as his win at Daytona. After we cover the Brickyard 400 for you today, we invite you to stay tuned for ABC, because we'll have final round coverage of IROC 23. Dale Earnhardt won 3 previous races. Will he win number 4 and take the championship? That's coming up at 4:30 Eastern. 3 pit reporters will help cover the action here today. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Bob, defending and 2-time Brickyard 400 champion Jeff Gordon will lead the field down for the 3rd time in his career from the pole here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And, Jeff, these moments, this crowd, this place, I'm told even the veterans struggle to harness their emotions right now.
It's an awesome feeling. You know, I mean, there isn't any place we go to that it's just wall-to-wall people like this around the racetrack. And you know, you really got to get focused once you get in the race car to block all that out. But riding around here in that car after driver introductions was quite a treat for me. You know, I don't get a reception like this anywhere I go, but it sure is great to see all these people stand up cheering for us, all the Indiana boys, and I sure am grateful for them.
Jeff Gordon hoping for win number 3. Bill Weber?
Dale Jarrett leads the NASCAR Winston Cup point standings by 254. You know you don't have to win races to win the title. But this is Indianapolis. You gamble on the track today for prestige over points?
Certainly. This is a big race for Ford Motor Company, for all of our sponsors. And this is a race that we dearly want, and we'll do whatever it takes to win today.
Best of luck. Thanks. To Ray Dunlap.
Tony Stewart makes his first ever Winston Cup race here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And, Tony, I've got to know, if you win today, will it make up for all the disappointments by not winning the Indy 500?
Oh, I think so. I mean, a win in Indianapolis is a win. So whether it's the 500 or the 400, it's, you know, if you can win with this crowd and this competition, I mean, you've done something. So, yeah, it'll be the best thing and best accomplishment we've ever had in our life so far.
Okay, have a great day out there. Now back to Bob Jenkins.
And joining me in the booth for today's telecast is former Winston Cup champion Benny Parsons. Benny, all night these drivers and teams have been plotting their strategy, but can they really do that?
No, they really don't have any idea. And the worst part about it today, the weather's going to change things. Racetracks and race cars are so doggone weather sensitive, it's unbelievable. As the clouds roll in, the racetrack is going to change. What the cars are going to do will change. So this morning, really and truly, the strategy had to play out this morning as they made those adjustments on those cars and roll them on the line. Some cars will not be that good to begin with, but hopefully be better later on.
It is really tough to pick a winner here this afternoon, but if experience has anything to do with it, John Andretti will win today. Considering his Indy 500 and previous Brickyard 400 events, he has more racing miles at this track than any other driver, and he is the only driver to lead a lap in the 500 and the 400. 300,000 race fans on hand at Indianapolis Motor Speedway awaiting the start of the Brickyard 400.
The Brickyard 400. This ABC Sports exclusive brought to you by Team Monte Carlo, Chevy, the cars more champions trust. Pennzoil with Pure Base, made for the way you drive. Stop, go, Pennzoil. And Miller Lite, taste a true Pilsner.
559 acres of real estate at the corner of Georgetown Road and 16th Street in Indianapolis, located about 4.5 miles west of downtown Indianapolis. We're ready for the national anthem.
To be performed by national country recording artist Ricochet.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Have been better. The perfect timing as the Jets flew over right at the end of the national anthem. And boy, if that doesn't get your blood pumping, nothing will.
Man, I am ready to go racing. Let me down and get in one of those cars. I am ready. This was something.
All 43 cars are lined up on the front straightaway here as the crowd has gathered on both sides of this racetrack. And that's one of the things that these drivers will tell you. They can compete here in qualifying and in practice, but you can't get a real feel for this place until all the fans get in here. They come down the straightaway. It's like going into a tunnel of fans.
Tunnel of fans. And we see Jeff Gordon getting the belt strapped on from his onboard camera.
2000 Monte Carlo Chevy pace car is at the front of the field. Jeff Gordon is on pole position with Mark Martin alongside. They're getting strapped into their cars as we are now getting set for the most important words that we have been waiting for. We go down to this track's public address system.
The drivers to start the sixth running of the Brickyard 400 is the chairman of the board of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Miss Mary Holman George.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
traditions here at Indianapolis, the release of the balloons. Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, Bob, 2 months ago, a young man from Sweden said in a car just like these 43 drivers are hoping and praying that maybe it would be his day. When the afternoon was over, he was in victory lane, sipping of the milk as the 1995 Indianapolis 500 winner, Kenny Breck. What did you find out that day that maybe a first-time winner would learn today about Indianapolis?
Well, the main thing here is just make sure you make no mistakes and just be patient and follow the changes that the track's putting on you, because this race changes a lot during the course of the race. So you just stay on top of that and you'll be all right.
All right, Kenny Breck won it in May. Maybe his teammate he's pulling for, Jeff Bodine, will win it today. Bill Weber?
Jerry, the previous 4 winners of the Brickyard 400 are impressive names in this high horsepower sport. Gordon, Earnhardt, Jarrett, and Rudd. Winning here just added to their already sparkling resumes. But today, there are 20 drivers in this fabulous field of 43 that have never won a Winston Cup race. 6 of them start in the top 15. 3 of them will start in the top 6. Big names win big races, and it doesn't get much bigger than Indy. In recent years, we've listened and learned about what it's like to win here. Today, maybe someone will show us what it's like to win your first ever Winston Cup race at Indianapolis. Ray?
Bill, for years and years and years, I've looked at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and I've said, I don't think there's a single seat in this entire place where you could see the entire racetrack. So there's no way in the world that I'd ever pay my money to buy a ticket to come here. I want to see the whole track. But as I look around right now, folks, now I take those words back because I finally get it. Bob?
There is something special about the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's been here since 1909, and the first, of course, 500 was run in 1911. And the 6th annual Brickyard 400 is just about ready to go. The balloons continue to float northward here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. All 43 cars' engines have been fired, and in just a moment they'll pull away and take 3 warm-up laps before getting the green flag. Our race today, 160 laps, 400 miles.
And you see 2 pace cars on the racetrack. NASCAR uses 2 pace cars to make sure that the teams realize what pit road speed is. It's 55 miles per hour today. They cannot speed. If they do, will be penalized. That's why they utilize the 2 pace cars.
Thumbs up from the NASCAR official right behind the Monte Carlo pace car. And we should be getting these cars moving out here in just a moment. Jeff Gordon puts the car in gear. And now the cars begin to roll away. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's event. Jeff Gordon is on the pole, and alongside is Mark Martin. Row number 2, David Green and Dale Jarrett. Row number 3, Michael Waltrip looking for his first NASCAR Winston Cup win, and Mike Skinner.
In row 4 this afternoon, Bobby Labonte, 3 wins already this year, and Bill Elliott, who's completed every lap in the Brickyard. Kenny Schrader on the inside of row 5 also has completed every lap, and local native John Andretti. In row 6, Tony Stewart, the Rushville Rocket, grew up about 40 miles from here, and Ward Burton.
In the 7th row, another rookie in the series, Elliott Sadler, and a former winner here, Ricky Rudd. Row number 8, local favorite Kenny Irwin and Jeff Burton. In the 9th row, Rusty Wallace, a former Winston Cup champion and a 7-time series titleist, Dale Earnhardt.
Inside of row 10, Jeremy Mayfield, 5th year in 1997. Dave Blaney on the outside, his first Brickyard. Sterling Marlin on the inside of row 11. Terry Labonte, the 1996 champ, on the outside. On the inside of row 12, Jeffrey Bodine and Kyle Petty helping his team celebrate 50 years in NASCAR.
Back in row number 13, Robert Presley in number 77 and Ricky Craven. The 14th row, Wally Dallenbach and Jerry Nadeau. And in row number 15, veteran Dave Marcus and Ted Musgrave.
Inside of row 16 is Derek Koch, who grew up near the Pacific Ocean. On the outside is Steve Park, who grew up near the Atlantic Ocean. In row 17, Joe Nemechek and Rick Math, the last qualifier yesterday afternoon. In row 18 this afternoon, Darrell Waltrip announced 2000 will be his last year as a driver, and Hutch Strickland on the outside.
And now the provisional starters, Bobby Hamilton 37th and Chad Little 38th. Starting in 39th position, Johnny Benson alongside Ernie Irvin. Kenny Wallace starts 41st, Jimmy Spencer 42nd, and Kevin LePage has the final starting spot in this year's Brickyard 400 field. Now to Jerry Punch.
Well, Bob, fuel has been the determining factor in the last 2 events that have been run here. This year's Indianapolis 500 and last year's Brickyard 400.
As the 88 crew now has run the 250 yards down pit road and are pushing for all they're worth.
He's out of fuel. He's out of fuel.
Wow.
Robbie Gordon is out of fuel.
There's nothing magical about fuel mileage in NASCAR racing. It's simply the laws of supply and demand. When a driver comes in, they use these 2 11-gallon cans right here to put 22 gallons in the car. That's how much it holds. Demand, you hope the car doesn't demand more than that over a 40-lap period. When Dale Jarrett ran out of gas here last year, it wasn't a miscalculations. The calculators worked just fine and said he will run out on lap 79. But when he came by on lap 80, it was miscommunication. No one told him. Bill Weber?
Jerry, here at the Brickyard, these teams race on pavement, but they pit on concrete in a 15 by 50-foot stall that's bordered on the right side by this yellow line. And that's important to remember, because if you pit outside your stall, you will be penalized. Caution is the key word on this concrete. It has a tremendous amount of grip. So when your pit stop is over, the goal is to leave quickly, but not too quick, because this concrete will grip your tires and rip the clutch and the race right out from underneath you. Ray?
Bill, Kevin LePage, Elliott Sadler, Dave Blaney, and Tony Stewart are all rookies today in their first ever Brickyard 400. And so am I. But all 5 of us have spent our entire life dreaming about being right here when they throw the green flag. Folks, I've got to tell you something. It's unbelievable, the energy that's right down here. But the difference is those guys have to hold on for 160 laps at 180 miles an hour. All I have to do is watch. Bob?
Pace car leads the cars out of turn number 2 down the backstretch. Again, this is the second of 3 warm-up laps that they will have. And right now, the drivers are getting an idea of the pit road speed.
Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. Trying to check the tachometer to see what RPM 55 miles per hour is going to be.
19 races have been held so far in 1999 in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Dale Jarrett is on top of the point standings by 254 over Mark Martin. Bobby Labonte is very close to Martin in 3rd position. 4th is Jeff Burton, and Tony Stewart is 5th in the point standings. Jeff Gordon has won 4 races this year, but he's also had bad luck at many events. Dale Earnhardt is 7th in points, followed by Terry Labonte, Mike Skinner, and Rusty Wallace. Our race analysis, well, we'll go 160 laps, 400 miles. Jeff Gordon is the defending champion. The purse, an unbelievable $6.1 million. And if they go green, they should have to stop for fuel sometime between laps 36 and 40.
That pit window is really critical. They need to be able to run 40 laps and try to save a pit stop.
No winner has ever won this event from the front row. There are 4 drivers who grew up in this area. Do they have a home track advantage? Will we see a first-time winner here today? 3 drivers, David Green, Michael Waltrip, and Mike Skinner, have qualified very well, and maybe they'll emerge as victorious here today. You've got to avoid pit road mistakes, and we'll also be watching very closely today the points leader, Dale Jarrett, who ran out of fuel here last year. Today's field is made up of 19 Fords, 16 Chevys, and 8 Pontiacs. Right now, Ford is on top of the manufacturers' battle by 17. And Pontiac 27 behind in the manufacturers' points battle.
These teams got a tough break, Bob, with the weather, because Thursday and Friday was bright sunshine, and the clouds already are starting to roll in. As I said earlier, that's really going to change the track. It's going to change the cars. Who guessed the best this morning will probably be who ends up in victory lane.
Difficult to tell when the showers will roll in, but they are predicted before the day is over. Jeff Gordon will carry one of our onboard cameras. He has his 7th pole in 1999 and his 30th career pole.
Rusty Wallace, starting back in 17th, also carries the Miller Lite onboard camera. Jeff Burton started in the 16th spot, the Exide Batteries onboard camera. Steve Park, Pennzoil Chevrolet, will start in the 32nd spot outside the 16th row. And the hometown man, John Andretti, the STP Pontiac, starting in 10th position.
Benny, what are the drivers thinking about right now as they go down the backstretch, weaving their cars back and forth?
Trying to figure out how they're going to get into turn 1. I mean, that's as far ahead as they're thinking right now. They want to be assured that they go through turn 1 and don't make any mistakes before they get to turn 2.
Just about a half a lap away from the green flag and the beginning of the 6th annual Brickyard 400.
See the drivers weaving the cars back and forth, back and forth. These tires are very, very stiff. The sidewalls are very, very stiff. They weave the car back and forth to try to flex those sidewalls so when we go down to turn 1 that the tires will have some flexibility in them.
Every single fan gathered here today, and the exact number of seats here is not known, but the estimate is over 300,000, and every single one of them is standing right now trying to get a better view of their favorite, trying to get a better view of this entire field as it lines up and gets set to take the green flag. There in the center portion of your screen, you see the new Formula One track that's being built and will host the U.S. Grand Prix in September of 2000. The pace car brings the 43-car field out of turn number 4. The pace car will be ducking off the racetrack as it is right now. And now coming down the straightaway, Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, David Green, Dale Jarrett, Michael Waltrip, Mike Skinner. The green flag waves. The 6th Brickyard 400 is underway. The second corner down the backstretch, Mark Martin from his outside front row starting position has grabbed the lead away from Jeff Gordon. Side-by-side battle as Michael Waltrip and Mike Skinner run side-by-side. Bobby Labonte right there also. Into turn number 3 they go.
Now Jeff Gordon passes Mark Martin in the short chute. He wants to lead that first lap at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
He got the lead in the short chute between turns 3 and 4, and Jeff Gordon will lead lap number 1 here at Indy. This is the 6th year in a row that the pole sitter has led the opening lap of the Brickyard. Look at this battle behind the front runners.
3 abreast down in turn 1. That was John Andretti, Tony Stewart. Tell me they don't want to win here in their hometowns.
Tony Stewart and Ken Schrader run side by side through the second corner. There's Ward Burton in the 22 car right there also. Off the second corner and down the backstretch.
Schrader losing spot after spot as Ward Burton, Bill Elliott hook up and really literally push each other down the backstretch.
Bill Elliott has a little bit looking race car. If you watch NASCAR Winston Cup racing regularly, he normally has a red car, but the car this week is dark blue. Off of corner number 4 and coming down to complete lap number 2. Jeff Gordon still has the lead. Mark Martin running in second position. Then it's Dale Jarrett, David Green, and Bobby Labonte. Well, we thought that maybe Mark Martin was going to lead that first lap, but Benny, he got a little sideways there in the corner.
Getting down in turn 3, Jeff Gordon got up behind that Valvoline Ford and made that Ford loose. And when he wiggled, he had to chase it up the hill. When he backed off the throttle, Jeff Gordon grabbed the spot away.
Single file formation up front in the first 3. That is Jarrett running in 3rd position. His first NASCAR Winston Cup championship, and he has a rather substantial lead here as we enter this 20th race of 1999. Here's a good 3-car battle. That's David Green in the 41, Bobby Labonte right behind him, and Mike Skinner. Of debris on the racetrack already. That can cause a problem if something gets up into the radiator opening and causes an overheating problem for these cars.
Hot dog wrappers have caused, whoever talked about the small pieces, hot dog wrappers have caused many a race car to fall out of the race because of overheating problems.
Bobby Labonte taking the position away from David Green, and now here comes Mike Skinner up to try to pass David in the middle of the corner, and he does so. Now John Andretti in the 43 car will come to the inside and try to put David Green back another position. But up front, it is Jeff Gordon Mark Martin, Dale Jarrett, Bobby Labonte, and Mike Skinner. Those are your top 5 after 3 of 160 laps at Indianapolis. Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Jerry Punch, Bill Weber, and Ray Dunlap with you here on ABC's Wide World of Sports for the Brickyard 400. Mark Martin has taken the lead from Jeff Gordon to become our second leader of the day. Here's how it happened.
Mark comes off the second corner, just gets terrific position and accelerates right by the 24 car. A great corner by Mark Martin.
Down to Jerry Punch.
Well, just a lap ago, Mark Martin, radio the crew, said, guys, we guessed correctly. They began the day with the car a little bit loose. Historically, here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, this track tightens up throughout the afternoon. Mark said the car is coming toward us. The crew said, all right, go get him. And indeed, Mark just did.
Well, now Jeff Gordon is going after him, and Gordon retakes the lead on the front stretch.
Mark Martin missed turn 4 just a little bit. We saw the car. He did not get it down to that white line, and when he didn't, Jeff Gordon got that great run on him.
And it also has allowed Dale Jarrett to close in now for the battle of second position. Bobby Labonte is running in 4th place, and then there's quite a bit of racetrack back to the 5th place car of Mike Skinner.
I'm sorry, Bob, but Bobby Labonte, the green car, he's the guy that's made up the ground. He was several car lengths behind, and we see now he's only about 8 or 10.
Many people think that the Pontiacs may have an aerodynamic advantage here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and on other super speedways, so we'll keep an eye on the Pontiacs throughout the afternoon. Right now we've got a Chevy leading, Ford's running 2nd and 3rd, and then Bobby Labonte's Pontiac in 4th. Jeff Gordon has led more laps than anyone else here in Indianapolis. In fact, twice as many laps as the next driver. Coming into today's race, he had led 253, Urban 114. As you look at the rundown in the upper left of your screen, those arrows indicate whether a driver has moved up or down in the last lap. So Bill Elliott did pick up a position. There you see Sterling Marlin picked up a position over Rusty Wallace in the past lap. So look for those as we show you the rundown throughout the race. There's John Andretti, Mike Skinner, and Tony Stewart.
Tony Stewart has worked his way up to the 7th position. Started back in 11th.
So many people thought that Tony Stewart would perhaps sit on the front row here this afternoon. They did build a new car for the Brickyard 400, but they brought it here in testing, and he didn't like it. And so he's driving the car that he competed in a couple of other races in 1999 at New Hampshire and at Pocono. And again, it's a Pontiac.
Tony Stewart ought to love that car. He used it at Loudon, New Hampshire, because it was a terrific car. Ran out of fuel just a couple laps to go with the lead.
Here is Kenny Irwin coming next. And there is David Green. David's best finishes in 1999 have been 18th. He had great hopes coming into this event, but Benny seems to be losing positions.
Yeah, that was the battle for the 10th position, qualified 3rd, so he's fallen back to 10th. It looks like Jeff Burton is going to move him back to 11th spot.
And Bill Weber can update us on David Green.
Well, he was thrilled with his qualifying run, but he told me before the race the car has not been very good since then. The early plan was to try and follow Gordon at the start of the race, but he has told his crew his car is just too tight. He has slipped from 3rd to 10th and is under pressure to hold that position.
Indeed he is. Both Ward Burton and Jeff Burton have gotten around him in the last lap, and so David Green is falling back from his 3rd starting position. He's already now back to 12th spot. On board with Jeff Burton as he looks ahead to his brother Ward.
This is the battle of Burtons.
Benny, are they flat out all the way around the racetrack?
No, they back off going into 1, 2, 3, and 4. And pretty heavy braking down in 1 and 3, I would think. Because, Bob, these cars are running 200 miles per hour, 3,400-pound stock cars with a like 11-inch tire. They've got to slow them down to be able to make these corners here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
9th and 10th position here. Ward Burton up ahead of Jeff Burton as Jeff Gordon now leads the Brickyard 400 over Mark Martin and Dale Jarrett. We'll return with more coverage after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
You're watching the Brickyard 400 on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Welcome back to ABC's live coverage of the Brickyard 400 from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Jeff Gordon leads over Dale Jarrett, Mark Martin, and Bobby Labonte.
And we'll see Dale Jarrett getting closer and closer to Jeff Gordon. Right now it appears that Dale Jarrett and possibly Bobby Labonte would be the two fastest cars in the top 6.
Well, that last lap, by far, Dale Jarrett was the fastest at 167.1. Ray Dunlap has an update on the run by Kenny Irwin, who's 8th.
Unbelievable, Bob. These guys started back in 15. Now, Kenny is driving a car that they won the pole with at Texas, but I talked to him earlier, and he said in happy hour this car was terrible, but the changing weather conditions has brought the car to this team, and they may be the fastest on the racetrack. Now to Bill Weber.
Rusty Wallace has had a handling problem with his race car ever since qualifying. He said guesswork and guts got him to where he was on the starting grid, but now his race car is tight. He's battling with Dale Earnhardt on the track. Earnhardt is 16th, Rusty is 17th. Earnhardt's car is also tight. Jarrett.
And a moment ago, I told you that Mark Martin said his car was coming in. Well, not anymore. He radioed and said, loose, very loose and getting looser. He was talking about an air pressure change, and he said, no, I've changed my mind. We're just going to put some bite on our first stop.
He is dropping back a little bit to second and first place, Jarrett and Gordon. The interval almost 3/4 of a second between the leader and third place, Mark Martin. Bobby Labonte back there in the 4th spot. And again, last lap, the fastest car on the racetrack was Dale Jarrett at 166.9 miles an hour. The leader, Gordon, ran 166.5. Well, the series finale of the International Race of Champions was run here yesterday. Dale Earnhardt, the points leader going in. He had a chance to sweep all 4 races in 1999. Did he do it? Did he win the championship? Stay with us here on ABC after our coverage of the Brickyard 400 and find out.
Oh, Dale Jarrett, did he brush the wall up there?
Sure did. If he didn't, he came awfully close.
I've noticed that Jarrett has been using the entire racetrack coming off in the short chutes, really going up close to the outside retaining wall. And that last time, he might have brushed it.
We've talked occasionally during the past few days about how Dale Jarrett did indeed run out of fuel while leading here last year at about the 80-lap mark. What we sometimes don't mention is the fact that he lost 4 laps during that period, but he came back to pick up all 4 laps and finish on the lead lap.
He had a terrific race car last year, and it looks like he hasn't lost much here in 1999 as he tries to close in on the 24 car of Jeff Gordon.
We've had 2 leaders so far today. Jeff Gordon has led 17 laps, and Mark Martin has led 2. Jeff now is the only driver to lead all 6 Brickyard 400s. Here again is how Jarrett got up close to the wall. Did he rub it?
Wow.
Yeah, I think so.
I think he just barely touched it. And it looks like that Dale Jarrett now has decided, look, I want to lead this race. I want to pass Jeff Gordon, but let's don't be stupid. Let's just relax a little bit, because if I try too hard, I am going to hit that wall the next time hard.
Benny, he certainly wants to lead, because every time you lead a NASCAR Winston Cup race, you get 5 bonus points. Dale is in the championship points lead and wants to accumulate as many as possible.
Well, Dale Jarrett continues on the racetrack, and he apparently did lightly brush the wall. He has radioed in that everything's okay, and they're continuing their pursuit. But I agree with Benny. You may see a more cautious approach here in the early laps of 160-lap event.
Close the interval from over a half second down to 3/10 of a second behind Jeff Gordon. cars basically running out in front, and then we got a lot of racetrack back to the 5th place car. And right now that is John Andretti running in 5th with Tony Stewart in 6th spot, followed by Mike Skinner and then Kenny Irwin. And here comes Jeff Burton to the inside of Skinner down the front stretch.
Kenny Irwin had just gotten by Mike Skinner. Now here comes Jeff Burton. So put Skinner back 2 more positions as Kenny Irwin takes that Texaco car right to the front.
In our story rundown, Kenny Irwin was one of those hometown favorites that we talked to you about, and would like so much to record his first NASCAR Winston Cup win here in front of the hometown crowd, as Jeff Gordon did in 1994. Well, we've been seeing a considerable amount of passing here in the first 21 laps of this race, not necessarily up front, but certainly in the middle and back part of the field we have seen some passing. Here's another one as Jeff Burton goes inside of Kenny Irwin looking for the 7th position, and Burton has it. We asked several drivers before the race started, how long does it take to set up a pass here at Indy?
Oh, it can take you, several laps. This is one of the toughest places on the circuit to pass, but it's also one of the toughest places to lead. When a car gets up behind you when you're leading, usually gets you loose, but when you're behind that car, you lose the air off the front of the car and get a big push. So there's a lot that goes into trying to set up a pass, and it takes getting through the middle of the corner good and having a lot of straightaway speed, and hope that you got some good horsepower into the hood also.
When you get towards the front with good race cars that are racing for the lead, it takes you a while to make a pass. You have to see where you're better than someone else and getting them set up so that you can make that pass. So it can take as much as 5-10 laps sometimes with a really good car.
Well, the bottom line is you just do your best not to ever hit anybody. And if you're behind a guy and you can't pass him, it's just because you're not fast enough, and you need to figure a way to try to pass it. Don't force the issue. Just wait for it to come to you. When you start trying to force the issue, that's when problems come.
Depends on how slow the guy's going in front of you. If he's not going very slow at all, it might take all day. I mean, it just depends. Each situation's different, but to catch a guy and you can catch him right, you can do it when you get there. If you don't, sometimes you got to set him up for a lap or so.
And that's right. You have to set him up for a lap or so. Bobby Labonte was making a great charge and closed in on these guys. Now it looks like that Labonte is losing some ground to this first 3 cars.
Continues to run in the 4th position, however, as Gordon, Jarrett, and Martin have been running in this order for the last several laps. 24 have been completed here at the 6th annual Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 160 will make up the distance here this afternoon. We'll take a commercial break and be back with more live coverage. It's Gordon, Jarrett, Martin, Labonte, and Stewart. As you rejoin us here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we've had a shuffle up front. Dale Jarrett is now the leader of the Brickyard 400. Mark Martin has moved to 2nd, and Jeff Gordon all the way back to 3rd. And now Martin takes a shot at Jarrett and passes him in turn 4.
In that short shoot, Mark Martin got down to the bottom of the racetrack, just drove by Dale Jarrett, now back in the lead. Evidently, these guys going a little bit too slow for Mark. Normally, you would think he would sit back and just be patient until that first pit stop, but he thinks his car is faster, so catch me if you can.
But Jarrett did lead 1 lap, and so he did pick up the 5 bonus points. Now Jeff Gordon seems to be falling back in the clutches of Bobby Labonte. And Jerry Punch, he has an update on Bobby Labonte.
Actually, Bob, Jeff Gordon is the guy we want to comment on. After losing the lead, he has told crew chief Ray Evernham that his car has gotten very, very tight. If you hold the steering wheel at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, basically he's taking that 2 o'clock hand and bringing it all the way over to about 9 o'clock to keep the car to turn in the corner. Push means it won't turn at all, and it's gotten worse and worse. They will make an air pressure adjustment on their first pit stop around lap 40.
And so far, the sun is still out. There's supposed to be some clouds moving in here. Look at Jeff Gordon. Now, he doesn't like that Pontiac behind him, so he decides he'll move over, let Bobby Labonte go by, rather than have the car back there trying to make the car loose as well as pushing at the same time. That's the worst condition a race car driver can have, is a push and the back end one to come out at the same time.
So Gordon falls back into 4th position right now as Mark Martin has the lead. And this is the 3rd time that Mark Martin has led in a Brickyard 400. He led 1 lap last year and 19 in 1996. It's the 16th race that he has led in 1999.
I kind of see why Mark Martin wanted to get by these guys, because he's starting to put some distance on Dale Jarrett.
Fastest car on the racetrack that last lap was Jeff Burton, who's back in 6th position. There are the first 4 as they come down the straightaway and complete lap number 30. Now, before too long, Benny, we're going to be seeing some pit stops.
And it won't be any too soon for Jeff Gordon, because that last lap. And we see Kenny Irwin gets by John Andretti to Indy. 2 young men who grew up in Indy. That was a battle for the 7th position. Andretti says, I want the prestige of being in front of you, in front of these Indiana fans.
Now the backstretch side by side. John Andretti will try to retake the position from Kenny Irwin and do so as he cuts low into turn 3. So give John Andretti back that 7th position. That's Mike Skinner right behind Andretti now and Irwin. 30th anniversary of Monday Night Football kicks off with the annual Hall of Fame game featuring the Cleveland Browns taking on the Dallas Cowboys. That's at 8 o'clock Monday night from Canton, Ohio. It's time to log on Monday nights again to follow all of the NFL action. Monday Night Football is online at ESPN.com, part of the Go Network.
Well, these guys have got themselves a battle going, don't they? It was first Andretti, and here comes Skinner. He says, I want to play with these guys.
He was trailing Irwin and Andretti a little bit, but when they started battling side by side, it allowed Mike to move up, and now he joins this 3-car battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th position.
That's exactly right. As much fun it was for Andretti and Irwin as much fun as it was for us watching it, it in fact slowed both those cars down, allowed Skinner to catch them, and allowed the leaders to pull even farther away.
4,742.5 miles of competition by John Andretti in both Indy cars and Brickyard coming into today's event. Now to Jerry Punch.
Guys, ideally on fuel, you'd like to be able to make it to 40 laps. So you could pit on lap 40, lap 80, lap 120, and make this race ideally on 3 pit stops. The big concern for Mark Martin, he's just been told a moment ago by crew chief Jimmy Finnig, is when they calculated fuel yesterday at happy hour, they could go about 39.5 laps. They're going to try to stretch it to 40 laps to be able to make those 3 stops. They told Mark a moment ago, conserve fuel. You certainly don't want to run out this early.
Mark Martin with about a 1-second advantage now on Dale Jarrett, with Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon, and Tony Stewart, the top 5. After 35 of 160 laps here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Mark Martin leads the Brickyard 400. There are the top 10. We're beginning to see some pit stops now, as several drivers, including Bill Elliott, Darrell Waltrip, David Green, Jeremy Mayfield, and others, have decided to come in for a pit stop. Meanwhile, on the racetrack, Mark Martin and Dale Jarrett and now Bobby Labonte beginning to lap some of the slower traffic. They put the 55 car of Kenny Wallace a lap down. He's running in 38th position.
So far, he is the only car to be lapped on the racetrack. The other cars have made pit stops for the reason their laps down.
And we anticipate pit stops now by the front runners before too long. Rusty Wallace is making a pit stop as we see Jeff Gordon really struggling out there at the moment, Benny. He's going to really want to make some major changes during this pit stop.
Yes, he is, because he had run 165, 166 mile per hour for so long, and now he's down to 163. And here he comes down pit road, and he says, good gracious, not a minute too soon.
Jeff Gordon the first among the top 5 to make a pit stop. Kenny Irwin is also coming down for a pit stop. Long way down pit road from the entrance up at the north end of the racetrack. He finally arrives at his pit box. Jeff Gordon. Sherry Punch.
Well, Jeff Gordon in the pits, guys, and they're going to make some significant adjustments. They're going to change 4 tires and take a rubber out of the left rear. As Benny Carson said, the car has just gone completely away. Had gotten very, very tight. They're waiting on the left rear to get the rubber out and the tire on. Let's go up to Ray.
Kenny Irwin was just in the 28 car. They made a slight air pressure adjustment on the right front. The car was just a little bit loose. We expect the number 99 to come in just 1 lap. His car, unbelievably, is tight. So he's also going to make an air pressure adjustment, but that one will be on the right rear. And now Dale Jarrett comes down pit road.
Making his way down to his assigned pit area, and he hits the mark perfectly. Here's Bill Weber.
Dale Jarrett's team is going to take a roundabout out and put in sticker tires and make a slight air pressure adjustment. Remember, they ran out of fuel in this race a year ago? The fuel pressure light came on when Jarrett was already out of fuel. This year, that light comes on with 2 laps of fuel left. Tony Stewart also on pit road, along with Ricky Rudd and several others.
16.7 pit stop there for Dale Jarrett. A very good pit stop by that team. The Home Depot crew now looks like they're having a little bit of a problem on the left side of that car, but now down off the jacks, and Tony Stewart is back in the race. And here comes the leader, Mark Martin.
And Bob, they have told him to be very, very careful with the pit road speed. Watch the RPMs. Jimmy Finning shouting in the radio as Mark Martin will come down. Now watch the crew. They're going to put 1 round of bite in the car. The car a little bit loose. They will go around and what looks to be a routine pit stop. And a moment ago they were talking about putting a handle. There goes the handle in the right rear. 1 round of bite in, which will allow the back of the car to stick to the racetrack better. They have got to get this car full of fuel. They want to make this race on 3 scheduled stops. 2 more after this one.
17.1 second pit stop for Mark Martin. Bobby Labonte has his service completed, and he rolls back out onto the racetrack. They enter, of course, the racetrack on this acceleration lane and then rejoin the actual racetrack out of turn number 2.
And they must use this acceleration lane. They cannot drive back on the racetrack. They've got to wait until here as they come off turn 2 to go down the backstretch and blend in with traffic.
There's Kyle Petty.
And there's going to be your leader, Dale Jarrett.
When all the pit stops are completed, Jarrett is going to be shown as the leader once again. And we continue to see more cars making pit stops here on the 40th lap. Let's get down to Ray Dunlap with an update from pit road.
Well, Bob, both the Robert Yates teams, Dale Jarrett and Kenny Irwin, have a brand new fuel pickup in their race car and a brand new fuel warning light. They've tested it all week here in Indianapolis. We've told you about what's happened to DJ here before. But the thing is, it's going to come on and tell them that they have 2 laps remaining. That's about 1.5 gallons. They tested it. Dale Jarrett ran his car completely out of fuel yesterday, and they say it's working. That way they will not run out of fuel this year.
And there is Tony Stewart and Kenny Irwin as they run in the 6th and 7th positions.
And Kenny Irwin passed Tony down the front straightaway to take over that position.
And Benny, one of the things that these teams work on during happy hour is seeing exactly how much fuel mileage they can get. They let the car run out of fuel purposely. At the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we are covering the 6th annual Brickyard 400. And right now, 40 laps have been completed. We have just had our first series of pit stops. Dale Jarrett is the leader of the race. Mark Martin second. Bobby Labonte third, followed by Jeff Gordon and Jeff Burton. Then the 28 car of Kenny Irwin and the 20 of Tony Stewart. And we'll be back with more of our live coverage on ABC in just a moment. Caution is out at the Brickyard 400 for the first time this afternoon. Chad Little has crashed over in turn number 2. And we have the end of the crash. There's the contact with the wall in turn number 2 on the driver's side.
Very hard contact. Another shot from our turn 2 camera. And when you see a spring rolling across the racetrack, you know that car hit awfully hard.
So with 43 laps completed, the caution is out here at Indianapolis. We'll return with more coverage of the 99 Brickyard 400 after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
This Wide World of Sports update brought to you by Mobile One. Nothing outperforms Mobile One. Here now, Robin Roberts.
The yellow flag out for the first time at the Brickyard 400 will return to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where Dale Jarrett is in the lead. For more racing in just a moment. Good afternoon, everyone. How about some football right now? A special weekend in Canton, Ohio, of course, the site of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies going on right now. 5 going into the Hall of Fame, including LT, Lawrence Taylor, named to a record 10 consecutive Pro Bowls. Eric Dickerson holds the NFL single-season rushing record with 2,105 yards. Also going into the Hall, Ozzie Newsome of the Cleveland Browns leads all NFL tight ends with 662 receptions. Tom Mack never missed a game in his 13-year, 184-game career. And Billy Shaw of the Bills, the first Hall of Famer to play his entire career in the AFL. The Cleveland Browns, who started it all 30 years ago on Monday night, are back in the NFL to kick off the 30th season of Monday Night Football as they take on the Dallas Cowboys in the AFC-NFC Hall of Fame game. Rookie quarterback Tim Couch leads a dog pound against Troy Aikman and company at the AFC-NFC Hall of Fame game this Monday right here on ABC at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Following the Brickyard 400, it's the final race of IROC 23. 11 of the best drivers in the world will try to keep Dale Earnhardt from making history and winning 4 IROC races in a row. That's coming up after the Brickyard 400, 4:30 Eastern here on ABC. That's our Wide World of Sports mobile update. Back now to the Brickyard 400 and Bob Jenkins. We'll see you again later.
Still under caution here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway because of a crash involving Chad Little. Providing our shots from above is the Goodyear blimp Stars and Stripes, based in Pompano Beach, Florida. At the controls this afternoon, Larry Chambers from Lighthouse Point, Florida. With 45 laps completed, we are under caution. Let's take a look at a race recap. Dale Jarrett is the leader. Our green race average, a little more than 164.5 miles an hour. We have had 3 leaders, Gordon, Martin, and Jarrett, 5 lead changes. This has been our first caution period, and it's been out for 2 laps. Right now, Chad Little, the victim of the incident, is the only car that is out of the race. And we have a better replay now of exactly what happened to Chad.
Yes, he and Jeffrey Bodine are going down in turn 2 at the same time. Jeffrey's going to make a little bit of a late entry in the corner, and Chad made that early entry. They made contact, and Chad, the worse for the wear.
Made hard contact with that wall in turn number 2. Well, the Tampa Bay Mutiny and the DC United will play at 2 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow. This Eastern Conference matchup comes your way on ABC live at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Well, we haven't seen very many pit stops during this caution period. Of course, they just pitted before the caution occurred, and so nobody taking advantage, at least up front, of this opportunity.
There's Rusty Wallace. He's back in the 13th position. Miller Lite 4 Taurus.
Let's get out of Jerry Punch.
We mentioned when Jeff Gordon came in, he actually pitted about 3 laps earlier than they could have on fuel. They pitted purely for chassis. As Benny Parsons said, the car was going away and getting very, very tight. Now, they took that rubber out of the left rear to try to free the car up coming off the corner. What it did, though, was free the car up in the middle of the corner, exactly where they don't need the car to be any looser, where he gets back on the throttle. Jeff said the car's still tight coming off, and Ray said, don't worry, be patient. Our next stop, we'll free it up coming off, and you can use that motor.
On board with Steve Park, who is in 18th position. Jeff Gordon is 4th in the lineup as we get set for the restart of this race. The cars that are off the lead lap will line up to the inside. And we see about 5 or 6 cars that will do so.
And that's one reason that Dale Jarrett was able to get those 4 laps back last year. He would pass the leader, the caution flag come out. He would come back on the inside, pass the leader, caution flag came out. It happened 4 times. He had to start at the end of these lines to pass all these cars. It would be impossible to get back much more than a lap.
Pace car pulls off the racetrack. We're set to go back to racing. Green flag comes out at the conclusion of lap number 47 on lap 48. Jarrett up front with Martin, Bobby Labonte, and Jeff Gordon. Jeff Burton running back there in 5th position, then Irwin and Stewart. And they go 2 by 2 through the corner.
And Ted Musgrave made a pit stop, put on some fresh tires. He just blows by the leader, Dale Jarrett, trying to get back in the lead lap.
Musgrave in the 75 car.
What's DJ weaving back and forth? You think he thinks maybe a tire is flat? He was weaving the car back and forth, trying to check and see if he had a flat tire, I believe. Oh, he hit the wall, didn't he?
Well, he hangs on to the lead. Let's see if Mark Martin makes a run on him down the front straightaway. Looks like he's got good momentum build up, but he will not take a shot at Jarrett. Dale remains in the lead. Jarrett scraped the wall earlier in the race. May have again that last lap. Bill Weber has a report from his pit.
No concern here in Dale Jarrett's pit. Certainly watching very closely, but at this point, no concern about the way his car is handling.
Dunlap has an update from pit road.
The problem on Dale Earnhardt's right front tire, that last pit stop, they've got some wear on the inside of the right front. And as far as the 36 car of Ernie Irvin, he's got a tire problem too. But his problem is the car is riding so low that he's got a fender rub on the right front. So these guys may have dropped these cars down just a tiny bit too far.
Ernie Irvin is running back into 30th position at the moment. Again, as you look at the rundown there in your upper left part of the screen, the arrows indicate the driver who has moved up or down in the last lap. Right now, Ted Musgrave is staying out ahead of Dale Jarrett, so Musgrave is still on the lead lap in 37th position. Mark Martin is second. Then Labonte, and there are a couple of lap cars then between Bobby Labonte and the 4th place, Jeff Gordon.
How about the 5th place car? Jeff Burton, the Exide Ford, started in 16th position, and there he is on the back bumper of Jeff Gordon.
Riding along with him up front is Gordon. And Jimmy Spencer. Jeff Gordon in recent races has had a struggle to qualify for events. He's taken a provisional in 2 of the last 5 races. But that certainly is no indication of how this car competes, because once the race starts, he goes to the front.
You see Jeff Gordon going to the inside of another lap car. That one of Darrell Waltrip.
Waltrip announcing earlier this week that next year will be his final year of NASCAR Winston Cup competition, the farewell tour. There is Tony Stewart as we look back to him from Jeff Burton's perspective. Tony Stewart running in 6.5.
And Mark Martin is closed in right on the back bumper of Dale Jarrett. The last time by, he was just a tick faster than Jarrett.
We have good news from the infield care center where Chad Little has been observed and he has been released uninjured. That's good news because he took a hard shot when he crashed in turn number 2.
Man, DJ is using all the racetrack, isn't he? It's like he's going to hit the wall every time he goes off 2 and 1 and 3 across the short chute.
the leader is setting a pace of about 169.6 miles an hour. Here's John Andretti dropping to the inside of the racetrack and running alongside Mike Skinner.
And that's for the 9th position.
Still running side by side through the short chute into the corner once again. Andretti won a race earlier this year in Martinsville, Virginia on the half mile. Rusty Wallace is right behind this battle, watching. That's Jeremy Mayfield, his teammate, right up ahead, and then Andretti and Skinner.
And we can see that Andretti finally backed off, let Skinner have that position because they were not making a lot of progress running side by side that way.
You see Rusty Wallace's progress since the most recent caution period. Moving up to the 12th position. We're on board with Jeff Gordon now, who runs 4th. Jaron and Martin continue to set the pace, separated by less than a car length. They're running just about the same speed, 169.4.
It seemed like every lap these cars slowed down just a little bit. At the end of that last run, on about the 35th lap, they were running around 165 miles per hour. So gradually, these cars do slow down as the tires wear.
Down to Jerry Punch.
Well, they unload the remains of Chad Little's John Deere Ford behind us. And Chad, fortunately, you're okay. What happened out there?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks, Dr. Punch. I got hit by Bodine coming out of turn 1 initially, and then, we made contact again going into turn 2, and it's, really uncalled for. Early in the race, you can't make contact going into corners. You're going to cause a wreck. It's plain and simple, a flat track, and at these kind of speeds, and it's just really an unfortunate thing, and really just a brain-dead maneuver on his part.
I think that pretty well sums it up, guys.
Emotions run high, especially at a race like this when you want so much to put your best foot forward. Right now, the best on the racetrack is Dale Jarrett. Close pursuit by Mark Martin.
I'll tell you what, if DJ gives him just a half a chance, just a little bit of an opening, he'll stick that number 6 Ford Taurus in there. But so far, he can't find that opening. And that time, he made a little bit of a late exit off the corner and lost some time to Dale Jarrett.
55 of 160 laps completed in the Brickyard 400. We'll be right back.
The Brickyard 400. This ABC Sports exclusive brought to you by Miller Lite. Taste a true Pilsner. The new Chevy Silverado. It's not just any truck, it's the truck. And get your signature service oil change at Jiffy Lube, America's favorite oil change.
ABC happy to be here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for live coverage of the Brickyard 400. Dale Jarrett continues to lead. Mark Martin running in second, followed by Bobby Labonte, Jeff Burton, and Jeff Gordon. Burton took over that 4th position just a couple of laps ago. And here's a good battle on the racetrack. Kenny Irwin and Ward Burton have been going at it for the last several laps. First one will be in 7th position, and then the other right now, Ward is.
Both those cars made terrific corners up in 3 and 4. So we go by the start-finish line down in turn 1, and we see Kenny Irwin dive down on the inside of Burton, and he now retakes that spot.
But Ward Burton has a good run through the short chute. Let's see what he does as they come off corner number 2 and go down the backstretch. He's going to go to the inside and try to take it back.
Ward Burton has told us last night on the show, we almost made some contact on the show last night, that he has re-signed a 3-year contract with Bill Davis, and they signed with Caterpillar the sponsor, so they expect to be around for a long time, and still trying to take over that spot from Irwin. He finally gets by him.
And the Bill Davis team will be a 2-car Winston Cup team next year, as Dave Blaney, who is in this race today running in 29th position, will be a regular on the NASCAR Winston Cup Series in the year 2000.
John Andretti, back in the 9th position right behind these guys, was watching all this from this viewpoint and said, guys, if you race just side by side for about another half lap, I'll be able to pass both of you. Here John Andretti backing off the throttle as he goes through turn 2.
John Andretti has special hopes about winning here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway today, because 30 years ago in 1969, Mario Andretti won the Indianapolis 500, and he thinks that it would be appropriate if 30 years later he could drive into victory lane here at this same facility. Now he closes in on Kenny Irwin as they come off the 4th corner.
After watching this battle, looks like Darrell Waltrip's car is out of the race. He's being pushed down pit road, back towards the garage area.
There is Waltrip, who his pit crew is pushing the Route 66 Ford Taurus behind the wall. Waltrip sweated it out during second round qualifying just to get into this race. Now it looks like it's going to be over here at about the 61st lap.
This battle is going on back for the 7th, 8th, 9th position, about 10 seconds behind the leader, Dale Jarrett.
Back up front with about a 0.2 of a second lead, or 2 3-car lengths, Dale Jarrett over Mark Martin. They are running about a 1.5 seconds ahead of the 3rd place car of Bobby Labonte. So at the moment, a 2-car battle up front between Jarrett and Martin, as it has been most of the afternoon.
The last time Mark got in this position, he pulled up right behind Dale Jarrett. He picked up what's called an arrow push. When you get behind another car and the air is not flowing across your car freely, you don't get enough downforce on the front of the car. As he came off turn 2 and turned the steering wheel, the car literally just pushed straight ahead, and he dropped back about 10 car lengths. And now he's finally going to try again on Dale Jarrett and see if he can get by.
He closes in. And passes going into the corner.
He started to dive in and followed Dale Jarrett back in the corner, but then he realized that Jarrett had backed off thinking the Mark was on the inside, and then Mark took advantage of it and dove it down in turn 1 and took that spot away.
Just a terrific battle up front. While that was going on, something else was going on between the 3 and the 12 car, Earnhardt and Jeremy Mayfield. Oh, some contact there at the end of the front stretch.
Wow.
That was going on back in the 12th and 13th positions.
I'll tell you one thing, that's not a good place to be making contact, going down in 1 and 3 at 200 miles per hour.
So Mark Martin has gone back to the front of the Brickyard 400 field as 63 laps have been completed. It's been a great battle up front. So far, Dale Jarrett has led the most laps here this afternoon, 25. Jeff Gordon has led 24. And Mark Martin has been out at the front of the field for 15 laps. Jerry Punch is with Darrell Waltrip.
Still sitting in the car, being pushed back to the garage area. DW, a short day for you. What happened?
Something happened to the motor. I'm not sure. It started off terrible. The car was junk. Philippe Mill made some great adjustments in the pits there under that caution, and the car was really going to be. I was right there behind Dale and them, and I think I could have passed them, and all of a sudden the motor just cut off. I wish it's that battery deal again, but I don't think it is. I think something more serious than that. But the Kmart car was coming around. I think we'd have been all right. We could have got back in the lead lap. Felt real good after we got some adjustments made. But we started this thing. We were late getting out yesterday in happy hour. It cost us a little time. But we'll get them next week. At least we made the show here. We were in it. And we'll just keep getting better. I mean, you know, it's just a minor setback. Say hi to everybody home, Mom, Dad, and everybody.
Well, Bob, Darrell Waltrip announced his retirement next year, so these early exits in these events here have to hurt.
772 starts, 84 wins, the most of any active driver, Darrell Waltrip. Back in 18th and 19th position, a good battle going on between Steve Park and former winner of this race, Ricky Rudd.
A lot of cars there, nose to tail, all the way from back 12th back to 20th position.
Down to Bill Weber. We noticed that Dale Jarrett has fallen back now to second position, Bill.
And a couple of factors for that, Bob. One, Jarrett has told his crew the car is just a little bit loose. And the other one is the fact that he was going to take it easy, but he has worked his way around Mark Martin. Apparently that car gets better the longer it's on the racetrack, because when he first went out after the earlier pit stops, he said the car was loose as well. It was loose a few laps ago. He has worked his way back around Mark. He is the race leader. And one thing to keep in mind, the next milestone for these race teams is lap 80. They want to try and get there on fuel. This team says they think they can.
And that will be in 13 more laps. And just as I said, Jarrett was in second position. He made the move around Mark and went back to the front. But now Bobby Labonte becomes a player.
That's the guy they've got to be worried about right now, is the 18 Interstate Batteries Pontiac, Bobby Labonte. The last 3 or 4 laps, he has been faster than Jarrett or Martin.
He has been the last couple of laps. Last lap, he ran a 166.1, but the fastest car on the racetrack last lap was Jeff Burton at 166.4. Here is how Dale Jarrett got the lead once again from Mark Martin.
Well, that's terrific that he's able to do that off these corners. As I said, that arrow push really dictates how you're going to be able to get under someone off the corner. So Jarrett's car is obviously very, very good today.
So can Dale Jarrett become a 2-time winner of the Brickyard 400? He leads right now with 67 laps completed at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, our aerial views courtesy of the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripe. Based in Pompano Beach, Florida, there are currently 6 Goodyear blimps, 3 domestic, plus a 3-blimp international fleet. We appreciate their help in covering the Brickyard 400. On the racetrack, the best battle is for the 6th position, Kenny Irwin and Tony Stewart. The Brickyard 400 is 71 laps old. Dale Jarrett has a 1-second lead over Mark Martin, followed by Bobby Labonte, Jeff Burton, Jeff Gordon. Then this battle between Kenny Irwin and Tony Stewart. Indiana drivers at the moment are running 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And you're watching 2 of them right now. And there's a 3rd, John Andretti. One caution period so far. That was for a crash involving Chad Little. We have spoken with him. He is fine. Dale Jarrett out front has now led 31 laps. There's John Andretti, Ward Burton, as we drop back to catch some of the other action in the field. Here is Dale Earnhardt and Terry Labonte as they run 12th and 13th. In 1995, we had rain most of the morning and early afternoon here in Indianapolis. Didn't think we would get the race in, but we finally got it started in the late afternoon, and Dale Earnhardt drove to victory in that event.
As we watch this great battle going on between Earnhardt and Terry Labonte, David Green, the Kodiak Chevrolet. Oh, and Kyle Petty once again in that wall hard. I tell you, these Indianapolis walls have not been too kind to Kyle Petty.
Trying to get the car slowed down and keep it from contacting the wall again. No steering on the car and some flame there at the front end.
He probably has knocked the fuel pump off the car. It sits on the right side, and Kyle obviously is well enough to jump out of the car. But he's not very well looking. Let me go sit down.
Let's take a look at the incident once again on replay.
Goes in the corner. Right front tire goes down. The car will just not turn, and straight in the wall about 180, 90 miles an hour.
Well, he was one of 7 drivers to run all 5 previous races here without a top 10 finish, and he will not get one here this afternoon. And the medics are talking with him, but it looks like Kyle's going to be able to walk away and wave to the crowd as he does.
That is great. I was really concerned about him. He did almost the same thing up here a couple of years ago. Blew a right front tire going in turn 4.
Kyle's best finish of 1999 has been at Richmond. Well, now we're going to see some pit stops, BP.
There's no doubt about it. They've been out there long enough to come in, change 4 tires. Anytime these drivers see a right front tire have a problem, they want to make a pit stop as soon as they can and put on a new one.
Pit road is closed until the pack is formed behind the pace car. It is now, and so we should see NASCAR official waving a green flag indicating that the pits are open. And here they come. Pit road speed 55 miles an hour as Dale Jarrett and Mark Martin and almost everybody else on the lead lap is given the opportunity to come in for a pit stop. Long line of cars coming down here.
I doubt very seriously any car that isn't on the lead lap will not make a pit stop. All right, triple split. Let's check them out. The 88 coming down pit road, stops in his pits. Mark Martin and Bobby Labonte still trying to get to theirs. Mark dives in his. Bobby still going down this long pit road. Right sides are down.
Let's go to Bill Weber.
No changes for Dale Jarrett. He called it a few laps ago, said the car's okay right now, so he's just getting 4 tires and fuel. He's on his way.
Mark Martin took the round of wedge back out, made an air pressure adjustment in the right rear. 17.3, he nearly collides with Dale Jarrett. They almost come together door to door as they're exiting pit road.
Close call on pit road, and also a close call as Ward Burton and Tony Stewart exited the pits.
We're watching that battle between. Now, how in the world did Bobby Labonte get between those 2 guys? Because they almost ran into each other, and they were literally side by side, but Bobby Labonte comes out between the 2.
There is a mark down at the end of pit road, which is the indication of how they line up for the restart. Whoever reaches that mark first is put ahead of the next guy.
Watch this as Mark Martin comes out of the pits. Left side's going on the car. They tighten them. The jack goes down. That's his signal to go. He pulls out, and here comes DJ. And Mark backed off enough for the 18 to get in.
And from Jeff Gordon's perspective, well, you can see that it was close. There wasn't contact between the 2. And here's how Bobby Labonte got in between himself and the car ahead. And so Jeff Gordon will line up in 4th position, and we'll return with more coverage of the Brickyard 400 after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
You're watching the Brickyard 400 on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
The Brickyard 400 is still under caution here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Let's take a look at what's happened so far. When the green flag came out, Mark Martin from his outside front row starting position led the first 3/4 of a lap, but then this is what happened up at the north end of the racetrack, and Jeff Gordon took the lead. Gordon and Dale Jarrett were in a battle. Jarrett scraping the wall in the short chute. In the 42nd lap, there was contact between Chad Little and Jeffrey Bodine, sending Chad Little hard into the wall. He's okay. A great battle up front then between Dale Jarrett and Mark Martin pursued. Lap number 72, a right front tire on Kyle Petty's car goes down, and he is hard into the wall, but he also has walked away from the crash.
You see the field still behind the pace car, still under the caution flag. Lights are off atop the pace car, which means next time by, the green flag will be waved.
Here's our race summary. Jarrett the leader, 165.5, the green race average. We've had 4 leaders, and during this caution, the 4th leader of the race was Dave Marcus as he led 1 lap. 8 lead changes. We're coming off our second caution period of the day. Down to Jerry Punch.
A moment ago, the spotters have radioed to the crew, and Ray Evernham has just told Jeff Gordon it is raining at the Indianapolis airport. So they had told him to turn up the wick. We are 4 laps away from halfway. Lap 81 will make it a complete race, but weather is moving in our direction.
And NASCAR warned Dale Jarrett on the last restart. There is the restart line. You don't restart until you get there. And evidently, Dale Jarrett restarted a little bit before that. He's been warned by NASCAR to wait until he gets to that red line to accelerate.
Well, the field moves out of corner number 4 behind the Monte Carlo 2000 pace car at about 64 miles an hour. And the pace car exits the track onto pit road. Now Jarrett will have to wait to reaching that point before he can accelerate. Back under green. Bobby Labonte is second. Mark Martin third, Jeff Gordon fourth, and Tony Stewart runs fifth. Kenny Irwin, John Andretti, Dale Earnhardt, and Jeff Burton are the top 10. There are a couple of lap cars between second and third. And now we'll see if Bobby Labonte can take the lead for the first time this afternoon. At the end of the backstretch, can't make the move. Sometimes there are head games that go on. We'll talk about that in a moment after we see if Labonte can get the lead here on the front stretch. A good run down to turn number 1, and Bobby Labonte becomes our 5th leader of the day.
Man, this Interstate Patters Pontiac has been so strong. Won both races at Pocono on racetrack very similar to this, Jerry.
Bobby Labonte made wholesale changes on that pit stop. The car was loose in and loose off, Benny, but it was tight in the middle of the corner. So they added bite for the loose problem. They raised the track bar for the tight problem. They also made air pressure adjustment. They said, it's all we can do. We've got to do something to try to win this thing. And obviously, what they did has worked.
He missed that corner, did not get down to that white line. That's going to allow Jarrett to get alongside of him, I do believe. Yes, it did. Lost that lead.
Well, Bobby Labonte had the lead for 1 lap, and it was the second time that he has led here at the Brickyard 400. He led 2 laps in 1995, but put Dale Jarrett back at the front of the field. Talking about head games, we heard that Ray Evernham and the boys have been told that it may be raining at the Indianapolis airport. Our information is it's not raining at the Indianapolis airport. Sometimes they just do that to create trouble.
Well, they just tell the drivers, look, it's raining. This thing's only going to run about 30 more laps, so you got to run hard. Again, mind game, trying to get that driver pumped up to run a little bit harder than he is already. See Schrader diving down to the inside, trying to get by Sterling Marlin, I believe that is. The green cars. Schrader.
Here's Rusty Wallace and Jeff Burton as they battle for 10th position on board with Jeff. And Ray Dunlap has more on Jeff Burton.
Bob, they were 4th before that last round of pit stops, but now they're 10th. They lost a lug nut on the right rear, and that's why Jeff Burton lost a lot of track position. Now, I told you that Dale Earnhardt was having a tire problem on the right side. They made a wedge adjustment to that car and air pressure adjustment, and his car is much better. Now Earnhardt up in the top 10.
He is in 9th position, as a matter of fact. Here he is running just ahead of Rusty Wallace and just behind John Andretti.
The last lap by was the halfway point. Dale Jarrett was the leader and picked up $10,000 from Gatorade for being the leader at the halfway point. I guess that's one reason that Labonte wanted that lead so badly, was for that $10,000. Don't blame him.
There is Dale Earnhardt running in 9th position, about 4 seconds behind the leader of the race. John Andretti and Kenny Irwin look like they're in a battle for the 8th spot. Here's John Andretti in the STP Pontiac moving to the inside and taking the position from Kenny Irwin. Back up front, it's still Jarrett and Labonte, Jerry.
A moment ago, I told you that Ray Evernham had radioed the driver. We're listening, said it's raining at the airport. We're talking about mind games. I'll go up and ask the guys, one of the guys on the crew. I said, you said it's raining at the airport. He said, yeah, but we didn't say which airport. So I guess they are playing some game, trying to get their guy pumped up a little bit.
We can see these front twos pulled away from Martin by a second and a quarter. Jeff Gordon is 2.5 seconds back in fourth position.
There are a couple of lap cars. Ted Musgrave in the 75 and Jimmy Spencer in the 23. They are running 36th and 37th. There are 35 cars on the lead lap past the halfway point.
Here you see these cars going through the corner. When you see these cars go through and they don't get down below that white line, they're not going to make a very good corner.
82 laps completed out of 160 at the Brickyard 400. It's an official race now. Dale Jarrett is the leader. Back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where Dale Jarrett leads the Brickyard 400 over Bobby Labonte, Mark Martin, and Jeff Gordon. Here comes Ward Burton and Tony Stewart. They complete the top 6. There's Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Burton, who are running in the 7th and 8th positions. And that 23 car of Jimmy Spencer is not on the lead lap. He's back in 36th.
Oh, there we see Spencer. Got a little bit loose coming off the corner, and up the hill he goes. And Earnhardt and Burton goes by. Now we see Rusty Wallace going by as well.
Wallace is in 9th position.
The drivers keep talking about this as a momentum racetrack. You've got to keep the car moving. And Jimmy Spencer, a classic example of that. He backed off the throttle because he got a little bit loose and must have lost 25 car lengths to these cars.
There is Tony Stewart, who is in 6th position at the moment. Now, a few laps ago, he made an awesome move down the front straightaway here. It was actually to get by a couple of lap cars, Jimmy Spencer and Ted Musgrave, but he took the car all the way to the inside on the front straightaway to get by those two. At that point, Ward Burton was behind him, but as you saw just a few moments ago, Ward is now back around him, and Tony is in 6th.
What a move. See Spencer in the 75 car, Musgrave still battling. There we see Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Burton closing in on Tony Stewart for that 6th position.
Earnhardt being very consistent. I don't think he's been out of the top 10 all day so far today. Remember in 1996 he came here injured from a wreck in Talladega and could not compete. Mike Skinner had to get into the car after he started it, and he told Jerry Punch and others it was probably the most difficult thing he ever had to do in a race car was get out of it and not compete in the Brickyard 400 in 1996.
Jeff Burton, uncharacteristic of him, is having some problems getting around the corners. He usually is really, and right now he is struggling to get through the corners.
Jerry Punch is standing by with Kyle Petty, who crashed not too long ago.
The second driver today to take one heck of a lick. Kyle, first of all, you're okay?
Yeah. I like to tell Adam and Austin, Montgomery Lee and Patty I'm okay. My radio got knocked out. Caught on fire. Evidently, when I came off the corner, I ran over something, cut a tire. And I didn't blow a tire. I blew a tire up here before, but I didn't blow a tire. I just ran over something, cut it. When I got to the corner, I didn't have anything. And it came off. It broke the brake line off. It caught on fire. Came up through the tunnel, and I couldn't breathe. Burnt my hat. See the inside of my hat here. This is Smash Mouth signed my hat here. The lead singer from Smash Mouth, he was here, so it's my favorite hat right now. But it's been one of those days, man. Been one of those weeks. At least I qualified good, but didn't get to finish.
Kyle Petty out at Indy.
Best finish here at Indy's 13th in 1997, and his son crashed at Indianapolis Raceway Park in a Busch race last night. Tony Stewart's lost a couple of positions the last lap, as both Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Burton were able to get by.
Yeah, Tony's struggling right now, trying to get around the race. And we'll see, get a little bit loose in the middle of the corner. You have Burton trying to get on the inside of Earnhardt. Can't quite make it.
Had a good look down to the inside, but couldn't make the pass. Let's see what he does here on the backstretch. Meanwhile, Tony Stewart now falling into the clutches of Rusty Wallace, who runs in 9th spot.
Bill Weber told us that Rusty Wallace reported to his crew he might have some electrical problems in this Miller Lite Ford. So.
And Benny, you'll remember they had a loose wire connected to the tack in the race in California. So Rusty there had to shut off all the electrical gauges. And they think that could be a similar problem now. He has shut off all the electric gauges, but he's still running. He finished 11th in California, running 9th now.
Up front, it is still basically the same as it was a few laps ago. About a 2-car length lead for Dale Jarrett over Bobby Labonte. And then about a 2.5 seconds back of that duo, we find the 3rd place car of Mark Martin, the 4th place car of Jeff Gordon, and the 5th place car of Ward Burton. 90 laps completed at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the 6th annual Brickyard 400. Just about 3 o'clock Eastern Time, and for those of you just joining us, welcome to our live coverage of the Brickyard 400 here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 93 of 160 laps completed. Dale Jarrett has the lead over Bobby Labonte, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, and Ward Burton. We have had 2 caution periods, 2 crashes, one involving Chad Little, the other Kyle Petty. Both drivers are okay. Weather definitely is a story here as clouds begin to move over, and in fact rain is predicted to move in sometime later this afternoon. Exactly when? Well, we're not exactly sure. Maybe Jerry can have us a better idea of when that's going to occur.
Bob, this is the weather radar that most of the top teams are sending representatives down here to the NASCAR truck to look at. Right in the very middle, that dot, that is Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The circles you see around, that is 50 nautical miles. The large green front with a lot of severe weather, the yellow and red in the middle of that, that is weather moving east-northeast. That is already in the Lafayette, which is exactly 50 miles away and moving this way. The determining factor will be how fast it's moving, and if it stalls outside of Indianapolis, we may have an hour, we may have 2.
I understand the weather's moving about 25 miles an hour. Maybe it will go more north than east and miss us. We hope so. And here's a good battle.
Jeff Burton finally gets on the inside of Dale Earnhardt. Can he beat him down in the corner? Looks like it. Now is Earnhardt going to go back under him? Let's see. This is for 6th place. Can't do it.
Well, both of these guys competed in the IROC race here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway yesterday, the 4th and final event of 1999. You'll be able to see coverage of it as soon as we're finished covering the Brickyard. Stay tuned at 4:30 Eastern for the 4th and final race of IROC 23. Jeff Burton now in 6th position. Earnhardt 7th. Tony Stewart back in 8th spot. There's Tony, and behind him we have Rusty Wallace and the 58 car of Hut Strickland.
Hut was running terrific. He had to make an unscheduled pit stop just a moment ago. He's now back in 34th position, a lap down. He had gotten up to 12th position from his 36th starting position.
33 cars remain on the lead lap. There's John Andretti running back in 11th spot on board the STP Pontiac. Well, let's check the stories that we talked about before the green flag drop. No winner has ever come from the front row here, and at the moment Dale Jarrett is at the lead. He did not start on the front row. Home track advantage. Well, the drivers are doing quite well from Indiana. The best, Jeff Gordon 4th. Tony Stewart is running in 8th position. David Green, Michael Waltrip started well. However, they have not been a contender during the race.
Never seen John Andretti, the STP Pontiac. He is back in 11th position as he tries to chase down another Hoosier, Kenny Irwin. See Mike Skinner in the Lowe's car on the inside of Jeremy Mayfield. It's a battle for the
12th position.
Well,
after 97 laps, we're averaging 166.2 miles an hour green race average. 5 different leaders. Jarrett, Gordon, Martin, Bobby Labonte, and Dave Marcus led 1 lap. 11 lead changes among the 5. 2 caution periods for 8 laps. 3 cars out of the race. They include Kyle Petty, Darrell Waltrip, and Chad Little. Dale Jarrett continues to lead. He has led the most laps here, 55. More after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
You're watching the Brickyard 400 on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
The Brickyard 400 underway here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. In fact, 101 laps have been completed out of the 160. There you see the top 5. Dale Jarrett continues to lead. He has led 59 laps so far.
We're right on board with Steve Park. The Pennzoil Chevrolet started back in 32nd. This is a battle for 14th. Not anymore. I believe he's going to take that spot away from Jeremy Mayfield.
Steve Park has had a good run. One of those drivers who struggled to get into this race. That's Ken Schrader right behind Steve Park. He runs in 16th spot.
Robert Presley, Wally Dolan back in the red car. Robert Presley in the blue cars. We see Steve Park finally gets position on the 12 car. Can he make it stick? Looks like he can.
And Park goes up to 14th. Now Dallenbach comes up to challenge Ken Schrader. Dallenbach will not be in the 25 car next year. It's already been announced that Jerry Nadeau will have control of that car next year from the Rick Hendrick stable. Tries to get to the inside of Schrader off the second corner. Down the backstretch they come. Sterling Marlin and Terry Labonte watching, and Dallenbach will move up to 16th.
I see Terry Labonte going on the inside of Sterling Marlin. That's 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th. All in a row.
Now Labonte to the inside of Schrader. Ooh, they're going to go through the corner side by side. Schrader trying to hold him off, but Terry Labonte picks up the spot off corner number 2.
Meanwhile, Dallenbach on the inside of Jeremy Mayfield. That's for 15th. Takes it away. And Schrader losing spots by the handful.
77 cars driven by Robert Presley. Jasper Engines Ford.
Oh, and Jeremy, something is wrong with his car.
It's way out of the groove, way up into the gray, and that's the danger area, but he saved it.
If something is wrong with the car, he's down to the inside, then all these vehicles going by waving to the people. Looks like he might have lost a cylinder in that vehicle.
Looks like there may be some smoke coming from it. The car definitely off song. So Jeremy Mayfield in trouble here at the 104 lap mark. We'll be right back.
4 seconds behind the leader. Here's Steve Park. Right along in about the 13th position. I said Jeff Gordon. Martin Martin's in 3rd place, about 4 seconds behind the leaders.
There's a new innovation here at the Speedway. They put up these large Jumbotron signs to allow people sitting in the grandstands around the 2.5-mile oval to see what's going on in other portions of the track. Down to Ray Dunlap with a report on Jeff Burton.
Well, Bob, in our pre-race show, we talked about fuel mileage an awful lot, and here's the situation for the 99 team. They've moved up from 10th to 5th in this pit stop, since the last pit stop, excuse me. It's now lap 111. They need to make it to lap 117 in order to go all the way if this thing would stay green. So they need 6 more laps before they have to pit.
There's some cars that probably can do that, and there's some that can't. If this thing goes green the rest of the way, it looks like fuel mileage is going to be a situation. Cars starting to make pit stops now.
And Jerry Punch can update us on Mark Martin.
Well, Bob, unfortunately, Mark Martin is one of those who cannot make it on one more pit stop. They need to go to lap 117. This is Ray had commented on a moment ago, but they are planning to pit possibly next time by. The Valvoline crew already up on the wall with their helmets on. Mark just came by a moment ago and said, leave the chassis alone. Just tires on them. Let's get out of there. Very disappointed. You can hear it in his voice. They have to make at least one more stop to make it all the way.
All of those running up front, last pitted on lap number 74 under the caution for Kyle Petty's accident. Let's see if Mark Martin comes in for a stop this time.
Ricky Rudd, who won the race on fuel mileage a couple of years ago, is on pit road making a pit stop. Mark, he's coming on pit road.
Yes, he is. Mark Martin heads for pit road. He's got to get slowed down out of 55 miles an hour when he hits the stripe there. All the way down to his pit box. He has to keep it at 55 or below.
And Bob, that is 5,800 RPMs. That's exactly what Jimmy Finnick reminded his driver. Put it in gear. Watch the tachometer. 5,800 RPMs. And remember, Mark will have to make one more stop, but they still have to get this very, very full of fuel. Sean Parker and the crew now will change right side tires. They will make no chassis adjustments. Once again, Mark had called off an air pressure change they were contemplating, and even a track bar change. Left side we're going as they wear the safety helmet. And Mark Martin, oh, it won't go. He's got to get it in gear. Now he gets it back in gear. 21.4 seconds down and away.
Drivers do that a great deal of the time. Put the car in neutral when they come to stop and forget to put it back in gear before they try to take off.
And that cost him 4 or 5 seconds, and that is a bunch. Now Jeff Gordon comes down pit road in May 3rd position.
And see what a few seconds in the pit stop can do, because Jeff Gordon was in front of Mark Martin. But now we see that Martin has repassed him as Bobby Labonte goes down and lets both these guys go by. I think they're going by.
Mark Martin has the fresher tires. So does Jeff Gordon. So indeed they will pass by Bobby Labonte, the second place car. And they'll go to the inside and also pass Dave Marcus.
That is costing Bobby Labonte so much time to the leader. Dale Jarrett, look at the lead that Jarrett has on Labonte now. That shuffle, those two lap cars of Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon, probably cost Bobby Labonte a couple of seconds.
Cars sitting right now.
Let's see if Jarrett will make a pit stop now, and he will. Jarrett slows down coming off corner number 4, and he hits pit road. 2,175 feet down the pit area.
As you watch Dale Jarrett come down pit road, Jeff Gordon has passed Mark Martin. There he is. Now Jarrett stops in his pits. Right sides are going on.
Extra man over the wall now to clean the windshield on all these cars. There is an air pressure adjustment for Jarrett. Stopped going well so far. Their first two stops have been outstanding. 16.42 and 15.87 seconds. And the Winston Cup points leader returns to the race.
And Bobby Labonte, they have made a change of both the track bar and the wedge adjustment in the back of the car. 4 cars, and that will be Bobby Labonte's final pit stop of the day.
Another great stop by Dale Jarrett's team. 16.6 we had that time.
Now Jarrett gathers up steam. Bobby Labonte's pit stop just a little over 17 seconds. 99 car of Jeff Burton picked up the lead for 1 lap, but now here he is on pit road.
And Bob, that was a strategy move for Jeff Burton. They needed to lead a lap. He has done so. They made it to 117 laps, so 3 or 4 more laps than the 6 car did. They'll clean the windshield for him. 4 tires and gas. No chassis adjustment on the X-side Ford. Jeff Burton gets himself ready, takes a drink. They go to the left side. The tires are on. Hopefully no lug nut problem. And the
couple of seconds slower than we saw from Jarrett and Martin because of that problem they had. And on the racetrack, Mark Martin still ahead of Jeff Gordon, or back around Jeff Gordon.
Back around, he passed him down the front straightaway that time. But meanwhile, Jeff Burton is leaving the turn 2. And I guess these guys will be, yes, they'll be in front of him. He was not able to get steam enough to get in front.
While the pit stops were going on, we saw a change for the lead. Mark Martin got around Jeff Gordon once again.
Right now, these guys are running 3rd and 4th. Dale Jarrett, after the pit stops, has resumed the lead, and Bobby Labonte is now in 2nd spot. These guys are battling for 3rd.
And they're about 7 seconds behind the leader, Dale Jarrett. Ward Burton still running in 5th position, then Jeff Burton, Tony Stewart 7th, followed by Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, and Jeffrey Bodine has moved into the top 10. Mike Skinner running 11th. And Ricky Rudd now in 12th position. John Andretti running in 13th. 119 laps completed at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
You're watching the Brickyard 400 on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, ABC Sports welcomes you back to live coverage of the Brickyard 400. 129 laps have been completed out of 160. Dale Jarrett is the leader of the race. There are the top 5. There are still 40 cars in the race. 24 of them are on the lead lap. 2 cautions, 2 crashes so far today. Kyle Petty and Chad Little, both of those drivers are okay. Jerry Punch, is there a problem with the 2nd place car of Bobby Labonte?
Well, Bob, there was potentially a problem about 2 laps ago. Bobby reported that the car began to skip and sputter. He switched to the backup ignition box, and the car caught fire and picked back up. Now, they're watching very closely, and they have the spotters watching for puffs of smoke and listening to the cars that comes by. Their driver has not said another word, and, of course, that's no news is good news. The crew chief said if there was a problem, he certainly would be hollering about it right now. And, by the way, we have gotten confirmed report now from the 24 pit of Jeff Gordon that they cannot, I repeat, they cannot make it the rest of the way. They're going to be about 2 laps short.
Wow. The earlier report was they were close. Maybe they could make it or be within a lap, but now Jerry says they cannot make it the rest of the way.
If they could get within 1 lap, they might gamble, but I don't think that this team will gamble on 2 laps. It's just too big, because this racetrack is a lap is 2.5 miles. 2 laps, 5 miles. And if you run out of fuel, it's not a bank racetrack, it's a flat racetrack. It takes forever to coast back to pit road, as Dale Jarrett found out last year.
Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon run about 6 seconds behind the leader of the race, Dale Jarrett, and 2nd place Bobby Labonte is about 4 1/4 seconds behind Jarrett. So now the concern of many drivers is stretching their fuel mileage and making it the rest of the way. We asked some drivers, when your crew chief tells you to save fuel, what do you do on the racetrack?
Well, you know, the first thing you try to do is get behind somebody else and draft. You know, drafting will definitely save some fuel. But, you know, just maybe let off a little bit earlier, going in the corners. Try to be real smooth on the throttle. I mean, there are a few things the drivers can do at a track like Indianapolis. Pretty hard to save a whole lap. You know, you might be able to get you a half a lap, but a whole lap's going to be tough to do.
Some of the things you do is you try to keep the butterflies on the carburetor closed as much as possible. And some of the things you can do to do that is when you let off to get into a corner, let off a little earlier and don't use as much brake. The lap time generally stays the same, or fairly close to the same. And when you go to get back in the throttle, instead of just hammering the throttle down, you squeeze into it so the squirters in the carburetor doesn't squirt so much fuel in there.
Well, without giving away all of my secrets, there are things a driver can do, but it's a difficult thing to do here at this racetrack because you have to attack the corner so hard. But there are ways, you know, the only way to save fuel is to stay out of the gas. So that means getting out of the gas early and letting the car roll.
Well, Jarrett is passing traffic out there. We saw a wave from Michael Waltrip saying, go on around, Dale, and that puts Michael Waltrip a lap down in 23rd position. Jarrett, Labonte, Martin, Gordon, and Jeff Burton, the top 5 at Indy. Just had a change of second position as Mark Martin has gone into second, passing Bobby Labonte. But again, Mark Martin knows that he definitely has to make one more fuel stop. We don't know about Labonte, and also the leader of the race, Dale Jarrett. Now we're on board with Jeff Burton, and he's in a good battle for 4th position with Jeff Gordon.
I think maybe Jeff Burton has the fastest race car on the track right now as he gets on the inside of Jeff Gordon and takes over that 4th position.
We're at lap 136, and we will be with you the rest of the race commercial-free. Dale Jarrett, the leader with a green race average of 165.9 miles an hour. 6 leaders: Jarrett, Gordon, Martin, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Burton, and Dave Marcus. 13 lead changes, 2 caution periods, crashes from Kyle Petty and Chad Little. Both are okay. Just 3 cars out of the race. 40 remain in competition, 21 of them on the lead lap.
Jeff Burton gets a nod from Rick Mast. Go ahead, go on the inside. I'll let you go.
On board with Jeff Gordon, coming up on the Team Woody car, driven by Rick Mast, the pole sitter for the inaugural Brickyard 400. This car is sponsored by Universal Studios, carrying the Woody Woodpecker on the side of the car. Jerry Punch. How about Tony Stewart, who's running in 7th position? Can he go the rest of the way?
Bob, very interesting that both Stewart and his teammate Bobby Labonte, with the same owner and the same engine builder and the same engines, have no worries at all on fuel, and everyone else around them is concerned about either definitely having to stop or being very, very close. So it could be an all Joe Gibbs finish if these guys have to pit for fuel. Let's check in with Ray.
Well, it could be, Doc. That is if Earnhardt doesn't get by him, because Dale Earnhardt right behind Tony Stewart on the scoring pylon, and he also does not need to stop. We've heard from the guys in the Ford camp. Jeff Burton definitely going to need a splash and go. Mark Martin going to need to come in, but Earnhardt says they can go the distance.
Well, there was some tight and close racing there with Tony Stewart as he picked up a position on Ward Burton, so moved Tony Stewart up to 6th spot now. Here's Dale Earnhardt running back in 8th, about 20 seconds behind the leader.
No cars around Dale Earnhardt in his Goodrich Chevrolet. Earnhardt's car, and, you know, he goes down the white line. He's not doing a bad job handling, but unfortunately, as you slow down a couple miles per hour, it makes going around the corner a lot easier.
Earnhardt has finished 5th or better, including 1 win in 3 of the 5 races here. And a tip of the Stetson to the
Jeffrey
60 car.
Bodine
Yep.
was running great. He was running in 10th spot, but he's a car that had to stop. He could not make it on fuel, so he stopped a couple of laps ago, which is not bad strategy. He stopped and put on 4 fresh tires. Now he is out there flying around the racetrack, hopefully getting in front of some of those other cars that will have to stop.
He was in the top 10, but because of the stop, he has dropped back to 30th position, a lap down. But perhaps some good strategy from Jeffrey Bodine. Right behind him is Dave Blaney. In the number 93 car, he's running in 31st position, also a lap down. On board with Jeff Burton, the 3rd place car, moving to the inside of Michael Waltrip. Michael 23rd, 1 lap down. Skies have brightened up here a bit in the last few minutes, so perhaps we're going to get through the next 20 laps without a rain shower. Let's hope so. Just 20 laps to go in the 6th annual Brickyard 400.
Oh, no, we're okay. This thing is going to run the entire distance, the entire 160 laps. And Jeff Burton has caught Mark Martin. It's unbelievable how fast that 99 car is. As he comes down to the line, he's on. Oh, we got a problem. A blown engine, and the caution flag is out. The line is out. The caution flag is out.
And the strategy is down the tubes now because everybody will be coming in for a fuel stop.
And Bob Jenkins, they began to jump up and down. You would have thought they won the race in Mark Martin's pit. They are celebrating this yellow flag. This could give them a chance to be able to pull out a win.
Well, I tell you what, if Jeff Burton's guys can pull off a great pit stop and get him out right behind that 88 car, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Those guys right there, it's all in the pits right now. Ray Dunlap talked about it at the very top of the show. Teamwork. If these guys can get, who's going to get the job done best on pit road?
These guys practice and practice and practice their pit stops. And it's because it definitely can make a difference in where you finish on the racetrack. Pit road is closed right now. The pace car has not picked up the leader and formed the pack, so they'll go at least another lap before the pits are open and they're able to come in. Now the pace car moves out onto the racetrack.
Pace car is the 2000 Monte Carlo. Oh, pit crews are the guys that's going to decide. Well, maybe they'll decide on the racetrack. That would be even better.
Yeah. Dale Jarrett has led 99 laps so far today and has now become the race record holder for most laps led in a single event. Jeff Gordon held that record, leading 97 in 1998. But Jarrett wants to lead lap 160. That's the important one.
See John Andretti there. I don't know if we told you that he had an unscheduled stop. That's one reason he's now 2 laps down. Bill Elliott is a lap down, as well as Michael Waltrip. Now they're not allowed to pit the first time by. Only cars on the lead lap are allowed to pit. As Dave Barker, we saw him on the apron of the racetrack trying to coast back. He will not make it. He'll have to be pushed in.
Pace car takes the field through the short chute up at the north end of the racetrack between turns 3 and 4. And now they come off the 4th corner. And those on the lead lap will make the left turn toward the pit area. Here comes Dale Jarrett, Mark Martin, Jeff Burton, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon, and we expect about 21 cars on pit road here because that's how many are on the lead lap. Triple split. Jeff Burton on top.
He stops, right sides. Jack going on the car. Frankie Stott on that right front. Lugnut's already out. Picks up the gun. Ties him up. Both guys finished at the same time. Jack man around. Oh, they only. What happened?
2 tires for Dale Jarrett.
And the 99 car left as well, but did they take some lug nuts off? I don't think the guys were expecting that. Here comes Mark Martin and Bobby Labonte back on the racetrack.
And guys, I think the lugs may be loose on the left front on the 99 car down here. And as Jeff Burton went out and the tire got loose, the 3 car of Dale Earnhardt made contact with it, and he will have damage to the left front of the race car.
You may be right, Ray. It looked like that Jeff Burton, when the right sides went down, he saw the guys in front of him taking on 2 tires, and he decided he would lead. But I'm not sure that those guys knew about it.
Let's take a look at the end of Jeff's pit stop. Jeff Burton's.
There we see Frankie Stoddard. He's down. He's taking lug nuts off, and the car starts to leave. So, ooh, and he just barely misses the 28 car. There has to be some lug nuts off.
And here it is again. Now watch. Lug nuts are being loosened, but Burton pulls away.
So he will have to come back in and lose all that track position once again.
And what about that strategy by Dale Jarrett? Just 2 tires.
I don't know. That's kind of iffy.
Well, all kinds of stories could be played out here in the final 17 laps of this race. We'll be back for the finish in just a moment at Indianapolis. Well, the pit stops have been completed, and quite a few stories developed because of them. Dale Earnhardt's car is damaged in the left front. He hit a tire from Jeff Burton's pit.
And we can see the damage to that left front. He did hit that tire, and the car is certainly not going to handle that much damage to the front of the car.
And of course, the big story is that Jeff Burton left after apparently some lug nuts were loosened on the left front of his car after Dale Jarrett just took 2 tires. Well, the series finale of the International Race of Champions will be coming up next here on ABC Sports. The race that was run yesterday, Dale Earnhardt had won all 3 races coming into yesterday's event. Will he win number 4, and will he win the championship? Join us at 4:30 Eastern Time.
And once again, Jeff Burton, the Exide batter's car, they're going to change 4 tires. Frankie Stoddard comes around, starts taking lug nuts off, and Jeff Burton looks up and sees the other guys just changing 2 tires, so he said, hey, that's what I'm going to do. He just decides to drive off.
I thought I saw clearly that a lug nut came off of that left front. Well, let's go down to Ray Dunlap.
Well, on the radio, Frankie Stoddard, the crew chief, called Jeff, and he said, I may have touched that lug nut just a tick. We're not sure. Jeff's been swerving around, says the car feels pretty good, so they're leaving it in his hands. If he gets a vibration after they start racing, he needs to bring it back in. But if not, they're going to try to keep going.
They line up 2 by 2 for the restart here on lap 147. Quickly, Bill Weber, an update on Jarrett.
Gutsy call by Todd Parrott, and several reasons why they took just 2 right side tires. They have a very good car. They also went back to the notes from a year ago when they were faster taking just 2 tires. So now they feel confident in their car and their call. Plus, not a lot of laps left in this race.
Back to green.
Green flag. 14 laps to go after they cross the line.
Ward Burton running 3rd now with Martin and Jeff Burton 4th and 5th. Dale Earnhardt is 6th, and Gordon. Terry Labonte up in the top 10 for the first time today. Tony Stewart is 9th, and Ricky Rudd is also in the top 10. The first 3 cars begin to separate themselves a little bit. Bobby Labonte looking right, looking left, trying to find a way around. Dale Jarrett for the lead. Behind him, a massive shuffle for position.
And Ward Burton's going by Labonte for 2nd spot. Ward Burton must have just taken fuel only on this stop. He's out there with the same tires. That's how, only way I can figure he got all that track position.
Look at them fan out 4 and 5 wide down the straightaway. That's Jimmy Spencer to the right of your screen, almost to the pit wall. On board with Jeff Gordon, and now he's in a battle with Tony Stewart for 7th position. Stewart's got him.
Tony Stewart used the pick of Jeffrey Bodine, the power team car on the inside. He got Jeff Gordon behind him and took the spot away. That was 7th position. Oh, Jeff Gordon decided to go down about the same time as Spencer decided to let him go by. I'm sorry, it's Tony Stewart. They decided to block that move of Jeff Gordon.
A battle between 2 Indiana boys who cut their teeth on the dirt tracks and the short ovals in the sprints and midgets in the central Indiana area. On board with Jeff Gordon. Up ahead is Tony Stewart. Laps to go in the Brickyard 400. Gordon will look inside of Stewart, coming off the corner through the short chute. And Jeff Gordon retakes 7th position.
He got close enough to Tony Stewart to get him loose, and he had to go up the racetrack to catch it back in. when he did, Jeff Gordon goes by.
Up front, it is still Dale Jarrett. He has about a half-second lead on Ward Burton, now running second. Bobby Labonte back to third. There's Jeff Burton, who continues to run in fifth position, and everything appears okay with that car. And a great run by Ward Burton, who started 12th and now finds himself in the runner-up position. He had a second-place finish earlier this year in Las Vegas. But he's coming off a 40th place finish at Pocono after running well in that race.
Ward Burton blew a right front tire. You're right. Running very, very well. Blew a right front with just about 8 laps to go in Pocono. And it looks like he might be getting a little bit closer to Dale Jarrett.
He is 11th in the point standings coming into this race. Just a few behind 10th place. This is his 166th start in NASCAR Winston Cup competition. He has just one win. That happened in October of 1995 at Rockingham, 112 races ago. Second, third, and fourth tighten up. 150 complete, 10 laps to go in the Brickyard 400. It's Dale Jarrett's race right now. He has led 107 of 150 laps. That last lap, the fastest car on the racetrack was Jeff Burton back in fifth position. And look at the Jarrett crew huddling. Hey, like a football huddle, huh?
But it looks like right now that Dale Jarrett has everything well in hand. Last time by, he was faster than Ward Burton. This time by, speed goes up. He was almost 1 mile per hour faster than Ward Burton.
Jerry Punch, what a terrific run by Ward.
An incredible opportunity for Ward Burton. They lost the primary car, as you said, Bob. They wanted to run here. It was destroyed at Pocono. That last pit stop, they took 2 right side tires only and made air pressure adjustments to try to tighten the car up. He had been very loose all day. Now Ward says the car is perfect at the perfect time.
But he's about a second and a quarter behind Dale Jarrett as Dale stretches the lead. And Bobby Labonte tries to get around Ward Burton for second position. Here they come off the corner onto the straightaway. We'll see how things shake out. While these 4 cars battle amongst themselves, Dale Jarrett just continues to drive away. He has extended the interval between himself and Ward Burton to 1.6 seconds.
Last lap by, Jeff Gordon was the fastest car. He ran over 170 miles per hour. He was 1 mile per hour faster than Dale Jarrett.
Defending champion of the Brickyard 400, Jeff Gordon back in 6th position.
Second and 2/3 on Ward Burton the last time by. They'll go across the line one more time. It's increased. It's over 2 seconds. Jarrett is just driving away from this group. Second, third, fourth, and fifth.
And it looks like that Jeff Gordon is catching up to Jeff Burton, who's in 5th position. On board with Jeff. Mark Martin just up ahead. Bobby Labonte fights for second position with Ward Burton. Bobby Labonte to the inside at the end of the backstretch. Bobby Labonte takes second.
And Jeff Gordon is there. He has joined this group.
54 laps completed. 6 to go in the 6th annual Brickyard 400. Dale Jarrett again lengthens his lead to more than 2.5 seconds. The real battle is back here for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Martin a little loose in the corner.
Yes, Jeff Burton pulled up behind him and took that air off the spoiler, and Mark was fighting the wheel through the corner. Managed to get it back under control.
There is the interval between first and this group of cars battling for position. Jeff Gordon will take 5th away from Jeff Burton.
It looks to me like that Jeff Gordon changed 4 tires in that last pit stop, and that's one reason that he's so much better than the other cars that just changed 2. But he lost a lot of track position. He's trying to get back right now, and only 5 laps to go. I don't know how many of those cars he'll be able to pass.
Jeff has finished 6th or better in 4 of the 5 races here. His only bad finish was in 1996. He finished 37th. Got a top 5 finish going here today if he can hold off Jeff Burton. Right now, Bobby Labonte pulling away a little bit from 3rd place, Ward Burton. You can see how the skies have clouded over, but we're going to make it to the end without rain.
Here comes Mark Martin down on the inside of Ward Burton. This is a battle for the 3rd position.
And Mark Martin will take 3rd at the end of the straightaway. Will Jeff Gordon have room? No, he'll have to fall in behind Ward, at least through corner number 1. Onto the short chute. And he will get the spot. Entering turn number 2. So Jeff Gordon moves up now to the 4th position. Dale Jarrett leads the Brickyard 400 with less than 4 laps to go. Bobby Labonte, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, Ward Burton, the top 5.
There's a piece of paper that Dale Jarrett was dragging under his car, but it's vanished.
It has been an incredible year for Dale Jarrett. He started off the year poorly at Daytona, finished 37th, involved in a wreck. But aside from an 11th place finish in Las Vegas, 2 races after that, he has finished in the top 10, an unbelievable consistent mark. And now Jeff Burton goes inside to try to take a spot away from his brother Ward.
Well, you know Ward doesn't want to give that spot away. Meanwhile, there's a battle for the 3rd position. Mark Martin in the 6th car is 3rd. Jeff Gordon is 4th.
The 2-time NASCAR Winston Cup champion, who of course is the father of Ned Jarrett, is watching every move of his son as he comes off the 4th corner, about to complete lap 158. There is Ned helping spot for Dale. He's up on top of the roof. 2 more laps to go for Dale Jarrett. 5 miles.
That big sigh from Ned. I don't know if I can make it 2 more laps.
Totally dominating performance this afternoon by Dale Jarrett. There's the interval between 1st and 2nd. It's more than 3 seconds, and Jeff Gordon has moved to 3rd, passing Mark Martin. Burton was able to get around Ward, but now Ward has retaken that spot from Jeff. So a good battle back there amongst the Burton brothers. There's Ward and Jeff. And the white flag is in the air. 1 more lap to go in the Brickyard 400. Dale Jarrett, the leader, by 3.3 seconds over Bobby Labonte.
Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin trying to figure out who's going to finish in 3rd position. Looks like it's going to be Jeff Gordon. Meanwhile, Dale Jarrett goes by turn 2 sweeps to the applause of those folks.
And he has only about a half a lap to go, and he will record his 2nd Brickyard 400 victory. Jarrett into turn number 3 for the final time. The crowd there standing and waving through the short chute at the north end of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A very popular driver takes the Ford through corner number 4. He comes onto the main straightaway. And Dale Jarrett wins the Brickyard 400 for the second time. He wins in 1996 and again here in 1999. Ned Jarrett, his father, helped him through the races today, and Jarrett records his 22nd career victory and his 4th in 1999. The Brickyard 400 is his. We'll be back to talk with him in just a moment when we return after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
400 on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
It is indeed hallowed ground, the place where every race driver wants to be. Victory Lane at Indianapolis. Dale Jarrett is there in 1999, Jerry.
And what a difference a few years makes. In 1996, he led only 11 laps. The squeals you hear in the background are Dale's wife, Kelly, screaming and squealing around the car trying to get to her husband. Incredible performance today by the 42-year-old Hickory, North Carolina driver and the entire Robert Yates team. Jarrett getting the steering wheel off, getting the seatbelt unbuckled, and getting ready to climb out. And this crowd of adoring NASCAR fans are going to be able to enjoy the celebration with this Robert Yates team as Dale Jarrett picks up his 4th win of the 1999 season. There his wife, Kelly. Is she excited or what? She can't wait to get her hands on him, and we'll back away while she gives him a hug, and now the team celebrates. Tears of joy all over this car as Jarrett now climbs up on top of the race car and now will climb back down. A big hug and a kiss from Kelly, his #1 fan. And DJ, for a year you had to hear about the problems at Indianapolis running out of gas, and today he made everyone forget about what happened a year ago.
Yeah, thank goodness we were able to in this same race car. What an incredible race car. Well, thank God for a safe race and for giving me the abilities that he did, but most of all for giving me the wisdom to come be with this race team, and for Robert Yates accepting me here, and Todd Parrott. What a great team. A car, I mean, if you saw it, you know, it was just easy to drive, handled perfect, handled with 2 tires better than it did 4 all day, and engine was just something else. Thank all the sponsors, Ford Motor Company, Ford Quality Care, Ford Credit, Coca-Cola, Fleetwood, Motorcraft Parts, Planters Peanuts, Texaco, everybody involved. They're the ones that should really enjoy this.
DJ, the final caution flag where you came in and took 2 tires. Were you concerned about the fuel? I know Todd was talking about how close it was going to be.
Well, I switched over to our channel and asked him if we were going to be okay, and I was conserving some fuel. He said we'd be okay if I'd just take care of it. So when the caution came out, I was a little upset about that, knowing that I had a good lead. Wasn't sure what 2 tires would do because we haven't done that here, and the car was already a little bit pushy on that set that we had. They made a little bit of an adjustment, got the car just absolutely perfect. Once I got out front, it just took off and really went. Some of the fastest laps we ran all day.
Did your heart skip a beat early on when you just brushed the wall up there in the early laps?
Yeah, it did. That came from not paying good enough attention on my part. I was still a little bit tight, and I looked up to kind of see what was going on behind me and ran into the wall. And I knew I didn't hit it hard. I usually do that here every race, so it wasn't any big deal. But just an incredible race car.
Dale, let's bring in the president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Tony George, for a presentation. The PPG trophy is there in the background, and we'll have Tony step in as he gives Kelly another hug. And Tony, I know you have a special presentation for our winner.
Dale, congratulations to you and everyone at Robert Yates for a very strong run today. Did a great job. Congratulations on #2.
All right, the celebrations can begin. Not a brush with the wall, not threatening weather. Nothing could stop the Jarrett juggernaut today. Let's go back upstairs.
He's the second multiple winner of a Brickyard 400 and the most dominating. He led 117 of 160 laps here this afternoon. Dale Jarrett recording his 22nd career win And he moves ahead of Benny Parsons and Jack Smith to 23rd on the all-time win list. They're the top 10 finishers. Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, and Jeff Burton are your top 5. Ward Burton finishes 6th. Tony Stewart 7th. Rusty Wallace, Ricky Rudd, and Dale Earnhardt complete the top 10.
Take a look at 11th through 20 this afternoon. Robert Presley, a great run to finish 17th. Schrader in 18th. And Johnny Besson comes up to 19th. And David Green will finish in 20th.
Elliott Sadler, Joe Nemechek, Bill Elliott, Ernie Irvin, and Jeffrey Bodine, 21 through 25. Jimmy Spencer, Michael Waltrip, Dave Blaney, Jerry Mayfield, and Kevin LePage complete the top 30.
31 through 40, Jerry Nadeau, Derek Cope, Hud Strickland, Ricky Craven, Ted Musgrave, Rick Mast, John Andretti, Bobby Hamilton, Kenny Wallace, and Dave Marcus.
There were 39 cars on the racetrack when the checkered flag dropped. Kyle Petty and Chad Little crashed. And we get down to Ray Dunlap, who's with Bobby Labonte.
Well, the last 3 years have been very good to Bobby Labonte here. A second, a third, a second. That's pretty good, but I know you'd have loved to win this race.
Well, it really would have, but, you know, this Interstate Pontiac ran great all day. We had a top 5 race car all day, and, you know, this is a tough racetrack. And, you know, I probably don't drive this racetrack as good as I need to. The car was probably better than I was today. But watching the 88 car following him all day long, I mean, he's really, really smooth. Never spun the tires, never slipped up hardly any. So he was dialed in all day, and those guys did a great job. Like to congratulate them. And you know, our Joe Gibbs Pontiac Interstate Racing team was good. We just finished second today, and you know, we'll just go on to Watkins Glen like that.
Okay, good luck. 283-point differential as Bobby Labonte came in here. He finishes second and still loses points. Now to Bill Weber.
Jeff Gordon, the pole sitter back home in Indiana, but not the result you were hoping for today.
Not a bad result, third, but, you know, I'm glad we put 4 tires on there at the end. I told Randy guys to tighten the car up, and I shouldn't have. You know, I got too tight there with 4 tires at the end, but, you know, third was better than we were really most today. I mean, we started off, I thought, man, this thing is hooked up. It's great, but it seemed like as rubber got down, the tires started to go away. We got looser and tighter, and you know, just had a lot of trouble getting the car hooked up to the racetrack. So my guys worked so hard for this race and all weekend long. I'm real proud of them, and they did a great job. We were by far the best Chevrolet, but just didn't have anything for the 88 and the 18 or the 6 most of the day. But those 4 tires helped us get up there.
Okay, good run here. We'll see you at the Glen.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Bill.
That's Jeff Gordon, and still no one has won the Brickyard 400 from the front row.
And don't forget, coming up next here on ABC, the 4th and final race of IROC 23 held yesterday here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Thanks for the aerial shots to the pilots and crew of the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes. It was 1960 when the Goodyear Blimps first began live sports coverage at the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. Great job today, guys, providing the overhead shots here at the Brickyard 400. Jeff Burton finishes 5th. Here's Ray Dunlap.
Well, the 6th time you've come here, first time you got a top 10. I know you're happy about that, but you thought your car was a little bit better than where you finished.
That was a lot better than where we finished. Unfortunately, we just didn't do the little things we needed to do today. We had pit stops that weren't the best. We normally have great pit stops. We were just off a little bit today. That cost us some track position. Track position here is very critical. And then it seemed like after we had a bad pit stop under caution, then the rest of it was green flag racing. We were never able to make it back up. But real proud of my guys. Yesterday we did not have a very fast race car. This XI team got together and made it a fast race car, made it very competitive.
On the last pit stop, you overruled the crew chief to decide to go with 2 tires. Do you think that's the right thing to do still?
Well, we wouldn't have won putting on 4. We would have lost too much track position. We're here to try to win races, and we made a gamble. And the only way we could have won was to do the same thing that the guys in front of us did because of track position being so critical. If it was a big, wide racetrack and you could pass real easy, then putting on 4 would have been the thing to do.
And I know you got to feel good about having an awfully fast race car here at Indy.
Well, we do, and you know, we've had a real fast race car here in the past and have done things like we did today, just can't finish it off.
Okay, got a top 10 finish, and now let's go check in with his teammate. I think Dr. Jerry Punch is with him.
Well, Mark Martin did an awesome job playing hurt, injured, bolts holding him together, and Mark, you came very, very close and came home with a 4th place finish.
Well, there was 2 or 3 of them out there we couldn't outrun. Definitely one for sure, the 88, but there at the end, we just got kind of jumbled up. If we could have broke traffic just a little bit better, I think we would have had a shot at 2nd place, but we didn't, and that was our best effort today. We couldn't run with the 88. We couldn't probably run with the 24 on cold tires, but on the long runs, we had a very good car. Sometimes the 18 was better, sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes the 99 was better than us, but, you know, all in all, a Valvoline Cummins team, you know, dug in this weekend, and held their ground, and we gave them our best shot.
I know the fuel mileage had to be a little bit disappointing. It didn't come down the fuel mileage, I know that, but I could hear your voice when Jimmy Phoenix said we got to make one more stop. It just seemed like someone had just stuck a knife in you.
Well, yeah, we usually get real good fuel mileage, but it wasn't looking too good there at the end. The caution, I guess, was a blessing for us.
All right, Mark Martin, we're going to let him sit down here. A gallant effort for an injured driver as he will get in the seat and head away for next week's event at Watkins Glen. Bob?
Well, the points basically stay the same. Dale Jarrett wins the race here at Indianapolis, and he increases his points margin to 274. Mark Martin now in second position with Bobby Labonte 293 behind. We'll have more from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the Brickyard 400 after this.
The Brickyard 400. This ABC Sports exclusive brought to you by Pennzoil with Pure Base, made for the way you drive. Stop. Go Pennzoil. The new Chevy Silverado. It's not just any truck, it's the truck. And Miller Lite. Taste a true Pilsner.
The celebration in Victory Lane continues with Dale Jarrett. Thousands of race fans now leave the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Tony Stewart had a 7th place finish. Here's Jerry.
A lot of anticipation in the Home Depot camp today. Tony, the car kept getting better and better, but not quite good enough.
No, we never really got the balance exactly where we wanted it, but you know, we had a pretty good day and we survived, and to come out of here with another top 10, we're pretty happy with that.
Last caution hadn't come out, it would have been you and Bobby Labonte battling for that win. No one else could go the distance.
Yeah, it's funny, our luck with this fuel deal. You know, when we can't make it, we go all the way, and when we can make it, we can't get the race to go green and finish like we need it to. But you know, we're happy. I mean, we keep running consistent right now, and if we can keep running in the top 10 like we are, you know, I think everyone with Home Depot and Joe Gibbs Racing is going to be pretty happy with the results at the end of the year.
Impressive rookie in NASCAR, Tony Stewart. Bob?
Tony Stewart finishing 7th and continuing his incredible rookie season in NASCAR Winston Cup competition. Here's Bill Weber.
With Ward Burton, whose previous best finish here was 19th, 6th today after a gutsy 2-tire stop.
All the Caterpillar team did an awesome job for me. I had a real bad loose condition all day, Bill, and right there at the end, the 2 tires tightened me up for about 6 or 7 laps, but then it started getting loose again, and I was following the car more than I was driving at that point, but I really wanted to get a top 5 or even, you know, have a shot at Jarrett. We just wasn't quite good enough, but we're knocking on the door, man. If we keep this Caterpillar team focused like they are, we're going to get there.
After you lost the car at Pocono that you wanted to bring here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That is really a really good car. We're trying to baseline some other cars on that car, but Tall Blue leading the race at Pocono. Those guys worked all week last week and this week to copy that car, and they just did an awesome job with this car here.
Congratulations on the great run.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Ward Burton comes home 6th.
Another great race here at Indianapolis. Just a dominating performance by Dale Jarrett, and the margin of victory unofficially 3.3 seconds, and if that's the case, it was the largest margin of victory in history of the 6 runnings of the Brickyard.
Well, if it hadn't been for that last caution flag, it would have been even more than that, the margin between first and second, because you're right, Dale Jarrett had him covered today. He was the winner from basically the 10th lap to the last lap.
Some good performances, though, throughout the field, as 21 cars finished on the lead lap, and there were only 4 cars out of the race when the checkered flag dropped. We had 2 crashes, one involving Chad Little and the other involving Kyle Petty, both of those drivers okay. You can see the thousands now of race fans who have come out of the grandstands and are making their way to their cars, leaving the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with smiles on their faces. They've seen a great running of the Brickyard 400 in 1999, won by Dale Jarrett. Well, coming up next here on ABC Sports, stick around because we've got more racing. It's the final race of IROC 23, an event that was held yesterday here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as Dale Earnhardt tries to sweep the series in 99. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, continuing the tradition of excellence. Now to our Wide World of Sports studio in New York and your host, Robin Roberts.